Hot Take Live, where we do it live. Where we do it live. Live. And now let's see if we're doing it live.
Hollywoke, hot take.
Yes, we are. Okay. We're up and running, Joan. We're up and running. And I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready for once. For once. You were terrible in rehearsal, by the way. Just awful. So I hope you bring your A game. Finally. Anyhow. Welcome to the live stream. Is anyone here yet? Probably not. It's a little early. So, I like to get here early. Kind of relax into this on a Sunday, a lazy Sunday, where I had nothing to do. Next week I got stuff to do, though. Next week I might be late, but we'll see. Today, or this weekend, rather. No, Joan, you can't do that through the whole stream. None of that. I know, you hear noises outside, but they don't concern you. No, they don't. Anyhow, this Saturday, Joan, yesterday was my signing at the Chemung Diner, and it couldn't have gone better. Joan, no. You're gonna make me move you this early? Okay, there. Sit there. Go to sleep. No, you're not getting down. You're not investigating the noise because it's our neighbors shutting a car door. That's what it is. Okay? That's all it is. It's our neighbors shutting a car door. All right? You trust me on this? Trust me on this. Trust me on this, little dog. Trust me. Remember, you trusted me to give you hamburger tonight. Remember that? Remember that? Anyhow. No. Sit. Thank you. Anyhow. So the Chemung Diner is out on 206 in Chemung, New Jersey. Classic place in the Pines. And Manny, who runs the place, wasn't there, but he made the situation good for me. They fed me. I got breakfast and lunch. It was great. What else? That's the main highlights for me. Oh, I sold a bunch of books and sat right in the middle of the diner. And it was really nice. I mean, it was one of the nicest signings I've ever done. I had such a great reaction from the crowd. People, there were a lot of people who came in just to see me, which was very nice. People who had seen me on Instagram. I got to remember to do more of that for my signings. That seemed to work really well on Saturday. One couple whose daughter read 2 of the books and she just is crazy for them, and so now they bought some and they're going to buy more at Christmas, and so it was just a great day. Had a great time, just eating and selling books. At one point, though, a huge storm rolled in, and I mean huge. JEC is here. Hi. JEC is already here, Joan, and you're ready to leave. How do you think that makes JEC feel? Not good. Not good, I'll tell you. So this huge storm rolls in, lights go out, the whole deal. And it feels like when you're in a place like the Chemung Diner, because it's basically this diner along the side of 206 and then just fields across the street, woods behind the diner, and nothing but open road. What's my Instagram? That's an excellent question. What is my Instagram? Here it is here. It is, here's my profile, Tony DiGerolamo 4524, and I don't remember why I had to do numbers. I guess there's too many Tony DiGerolamos on Instagram. 4524 is the number. My name and the number. See, here's the Chemung Diner here. And so I was right in the middle of the diner. I had all the iced tea I could drink, selling the books. It was great. It was friggin' awesome. So the big storm rolled in, knocked out the lights, and then I was kind of thinking about leaving at that point because it was past the time I said I would stay. And then it was like, oh, I can't go anywhere. I couldn't get out the door. It was raining so hard. But then, did I get comments? Where did I get comments? just sort of fire comments, whatever the hell that means. I don't know what these emojis mean anymore. See it all my pictures here. It's mostly promotion, as you can see. I don't really put any personal stuff on the internet. It's just my policy. So yeah. So good weekend. Good weekend. And then of course, Joan is very unappreciative. Very unappreciative as always. Here. How about you sit here? You want to sit here? Okay. All right, we're going to get into the box office in just a minute. Here, I'm going to put your bed over here. Okay. Lot of crazy stuff happened this week, and I tell you, I can't even remember it all. Bunch of stuff happened with Disney. The Danny Masterson thing, it absolutely exploded. JC, LOL, very flattering profile pic. Which, for Instagram? Oh yeah, that's me asleep at my desk. I took that one a long time ago. Yeah, so Disney, Danny Masterson blew up. Bunch of usual stuff with stupid woke stuff happened in video games. Bunch of stuff happened this week. Man, my Hollywoke hot takes were jam-packed. Just jam-packed. So, we'll go over some of it. Oh, and something happened in Venice. What the hell happened? Oh, yeah. That stupid movie, Poor Things, won the Golden Lion. The one where the premise is it's a feminist Frankenstein. Ardent. Hello all, just getting on the road, late going home. Won't say much, but I am listening. Hello, Ardent. Watch yourself driving. Poor Things is a feminist Frankenstein movie, and the premise is William Dafoe is the Dr. Frankenstein, and he takes the body of a Parisian prostitute and he brings it back to life using the brain of an infant. Yeah. And then the resulting Frankenstein girl is sex crazed and has tons of sex, I guess, and shacks up with Mark Ruffalo. And that is what won the festival. So, Hollywood, of course, doing its best to shake off the rumors of its reputation, let's say. JC, I heard about that Poor Things movie. I watched the trailer. It's like an autistic Bride of Frankenstein directed by Tim Burton. Yeah, that's the kind of vibe I got from it, too, at first. I thought, what is wrong? Well, then I was like, okay, it's supposed to be Frankenstein, so that's Emma Stone's version of Frankenstein, I guess, but it didn't even look, it just looked too not fun. I mean, like, say what you want about the Universal Frankenstein movies. They were interesting and fun. They were kind of intense, if you follow them. That just looks like, oh, look, we're going to have whimsy. And then they throw a bunch of sex in it, which seems weird. But who am I to talk? I did my own version of Frankenstein for Superfrat called Frankengine, where one of the characters builds his own girlfriend and because he wants to have sex, and he builds a girlfriend out of, like, dead porn stars. But in the end, he accidentally puts a brain in from he wanted a femme fatale brain, but he ends up putting in a feminist brain by mistake. JC, look weird and awkward. Yeah, I didn't think it was a full movie for some reason. I think because it was a short trailer, and I watched it, and I was like, well, am I going to analyze this? It just doesn't seem like nothing. And Mark Ruffalo looks like he's totally overacting in it, and he's not a bad actor, but that just looked like, what is this? It's like it's a tour de force. We're gonna do a tour de force of Frankenstein, doggy. Tour de force. So it just looks like one of these movies. It's going to be critically acclaimed, and it's not going to make any money, to me. But speaking of movies that made money, The Nun. tops the box office this week with $32,600,000. And that is pretty much right on the money. Makeup on Defoe looks stupid. Yeah, I didn't like that either. I don't think it was makeup, though. It looked like they had CGI'd his face a little bit to get, like, to make it look like he, you know, had been pieced back together partially. Something like that. And I'm not sure why they did that. Like, why did they do that for the Dr. Frankenstein character? He wasn't scarred, but who knows? Who knows? I get tired of talking about that kind of stuff. It's so tiresome to analyze because it's just to me, it's just a bunch of pretentious nonsense. JC, maybe CGI'd it to make it makeup to look like less crap. Probably. I mean, that was the word from Doomcock and his video where he was saying that all the CGI guys are overworked because these directors are just throwing up their hands every time there's a problem and saying, the CGI guys will fix it. Just make a note of it. Which is supposedly lending to the bad CGI because they're overworked. I'm not sure who produced that one. I don't think it was Disney, but maybe people with Disney connections, or maybe a division which was selling it to Disney. I don't know. I doubt it because it seems a very sexual movie. But who knows with Disney these days? They're so out of control, in my view. Let's see if The Nun did international business yet. Yes, it did. It did pretty good. 52 million internationally. 52.7. Total of 85.3. JEC, it probably didn't have too big a budget, so the CGI looked cheap. I think part of it is the lighting in that movie. They're going for this weird, like whimsical world, and everything's very well lit. When you do something like that's supposed to be a monster movie, that's supposed to be a little dark or whatever, it's not supposed to be bright. It's supposed to be a little dark, a little contrasty. But I don't know. It seemed unnecessary to give Defoe that look. Maybe he wanted it, though. Defoe likes to change his look. He's one of the actors. To me, he's one of the smart actors. He's always trying to change up his look. Not trying to be William Defoe in everything. Although he is sometimes, but he has a lot of different looks. I don't know. The movie just looks dumb. The Nun 2, I hear, is pretty good. But I didn't see the Nun 1. I might be lost. Evil nun kills a bunch of people, I assume, is the plot. I don't know. Did I watch the trailer on this one? If I did, that shows you how memorable it was. But it's doing well. Not to knock it. 32.6 million domestic. Number 2, in its second week, The Equalizer 3. I hear this is good, but it dropped by 65%. That's a pretty big drop. But it did do well in the first week. So, take that what you will. 12.1 million. 107 million worldwide, doing better domestically. Interestingly enough, because it is an actioner. And it does take place in Europe already. Let's see, the international. United Kingdom. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be doing huge numbers overseas. And I'm shocked that it's not doing better in Italy, because part of it takes place in Italy. Or all of it, I think. Let's see, is it going to open any other places? No, looks like it, Brazil. And Japan. So I'm a little surprised it's not doing better, but I guess 107's okay. Probably not money yet. Probably gonna get there. All right, Joan, you gotta be a good girl, Joan. Don't make me get up. Um, so that's not bad, I guess. I mean, might go see it. I like him as the Equalizer. I didn't see the second one. I've seen clips of it. That one looks good too. I think that's the one that takes place in the Home Depot, right? Number 3, My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. I did see the first one. I thought the first one was okay. You know, not a huge fan of rom-coms or whatever, but it was all right. But feels like they're stretching this out. Maybe they end it here, and that would be a good thing. 10 million, 12 million worldwide. Wow, not doing well internationally at all. Not opening until the end of the year in Mexico for some reason. Weird. JC, I didn't sit through the entire first one. It's a chick flick. Yeah. I rarely walk out of movies. I endure them. I mean, if I'm gonna pay whatever. I'm trying to remember, I may have saw that one with the ex. When the hell did that come out? Was I still married then? Greek Wedding 2002. No. Unless I saw it like on what's the name? Like streaming or something. Maybe I did. 2002. I was definitely not married in 2002. Yeah, it was all right. I mean, I could sit through it. But, you know, I sat through, what did I walk out of? I walked out of, what's it called? Loaded Weapon 2. Yeah, Loaded Weapon. It was awful. It was National Lampoon's parody of Lethal Weapon. God, who the hell was in it? I want to say Samuel L. Jackson. I think he was in it. God, it's an awful, awful movie. Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson and where'd it go? Damn it. Loaded Weapon 1, which I didn't see, and Emilio Estevez. What the hell is it? Loaded Weapon 1? Is it 1 or 2? No, maybe it was 1 then.
IMDb isn't.
Oh, don't want that. Can't have that show up on my feed. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, IMDb. Playing a video. Oh, forget it. It's a terrible movie. Just trust me on it. Emilio Estevez and Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah, it was Samuel L. Jackson. It's supposed to be a comedy, but it's just god awful. So I walked out. I don't think I made it 20 minutes through that movie. I walked out of that. I sat through. What the hell is it called? It's a Blake Edwards movie. It did terrible. It starred John Ritter. What the hell was it called? Blake Edwards. And it was supposed to be funny, but it was not funny at all. And I sat through it because there was supposed to be a scene that was very funny that everybody talked about, but I think it was just part of the PR campaign. Skin Deep. That was it. 1989. All my friends walked out on it, and I said, nah, I'm going to stay for the scene. And the scene was supposed to be this outrageous scene where a dude uses a glow-in-the-dark condom to have sex with this girl who's having an affair on her husband, and then her husband walks in also wearing one in the dark. So that's the joke. So he's having sex with her, and the condom is appearing and disappearing. It wasn't as funny as advertised, I'll just say. And then I was like, well, the movie's almost over, so I sat through the end. It's a pretty terrible movie. Second Sight by John Larroquette. I think we walked out on that one. Yeah. I stayed in it for a good amount, though. I was in it for about, I'm going to say 40 minutes before I finally just couldn't take it anymore. But mostly I'll sit through movies. It's got to be really unwatchable. Jawan, which reminds me of John, which is a Philly thing. This is an Indian movie, I think. I'm not sure what it's about, but it did 7.5 here, 7.5 million in its first week. I suspect it probably already opened in India and overseas, but from Yash Raj Films. Yeah, that sounds very Indian. It only opened in 813 theaters. I wonder if it's even in English. It's probably not. But that's kind of interesting, right? So these are the first 4 movies, and none of them are Barbie or Oppenheimer. Number 5, JC, I don't remember walking out of any movies. Well, you said you walked out of My Big Fat Greek Wedding, or you just didn't watch the end of it, I guess. Yeah, I think those are the only 2 movies I walked out of. I definitely walked out of Loaded Weapon. God, so friggin' insulted. I wanted to find the makers of the movie and punch them. And I'm pretty sure we walked out of Second Sight with John Larroquette. It's a slight chance we endured it just to make fun of it, but I don't think so. I don't think we stayed to the end. But other than that, I've seen many, many movies, and I've endured them all, I think, besides those. So yeah, Barbie and Oppenheimer are out, but at number 5 is Barbie, dropping from 2 to 5, finally, 5.9 million. But Jawan beat it, just barely though, by about 200,000, dropping by another 42%. Man, that movie's got legs. We are now in its 8th week, and it's been in the top 5 for 8 weeks straight. That's pretty damn good. JC, I watched Greek Wedding on TV, some of it anyway. Okay, that makes more sense. Barbie, did it hit 1.4? Yep, 1.4 billion. I think that beats Mario Brothers, but still. JC, growing up, my family had the movie network, so I watched a lot of random stuff that came out. My era for that was the very early days of movies on cable, which was HBO. We had HBO for a time, and we could watch second run movies basically in the early days. Ryan Citro is here. Hello, Ryan Citro. Hello. Arden is here, but he's listening while he drives. Oh, by the way, I just so you guys know, I found the controls on the commercials for the live stream. I couldn't turn them off completely, but I did turn them down to the absolute minimum. So you shouldn't see too many commercials. Maybe just one. You might be seeing a scroll or something. But yeah, the YouTube once again changed everything in an attempt to somehow squeeze more money out of their poor working YouTubers. JC, in Canada, closest thing we had to HBO was just called the Movie Network. Oh, interesting. Wonder if it was like owned by HBO or something. HBO was the first in the States, and it was initially like second run movies and like softcore porn. Like they were movies that sometimes they were actual porn movies that they shot both ways. In other words, they would shoot sex scenes as porn scenes, but then they also shot them as not porn scenes. And that was a thing for a while. I don't know if they still do that. So the idea was, you know, they could sell them as porns, but then they could also sell them in the regular market, and it was kind of like they were shooting two movies at once or something. So you can only watch the dirty movies on HBO late at night, but they weren't porn. They were like near porn, I guess you'd say. JC, probably owned by Bell or some broadcaster up there. Yeah, and HBO didn't have much back in the day. Like my brother kept watching Star Wars, the original Star Wars, over and over again. I remember that. He'd come home from school and, Star Wars is on. He'd watch it again. JC, yeah, they would play softcore stuff here at like 1 a.m. Yeah. You have to go into the living room, turn the sound all the way down, and like hope nobody got up while you were watching it. But we didn't have HBO for long. Then they raised the rates, and we didn't really watch it that much. If there was a good movie on that you missed in the theaters, you'd go watch it. But Joan, it's not like now where there's a lot of original. I don't think there was any original programming when they first started with HBO. Ryan Citro, I heard there was a fire from Canada to Lyndon, Washington. I don't know. I think there was a fire in the Pine Barrens on Saturday because I drove to Chemung Diner through the Pine Barrens, and I smelled a lot of burning wood. And there was some smoke, and some of the local cops were blocking off the roads into the Pine Barrens. So I think there was a fire, and then it poured like hell hours later, so whatever it was definitely went out. But I didn't hear anything about Canada other than I heard they arrested an arsonist or maybe even convicted him for the fires, some of the fires in Canada. So I guess that's a good thing. Number 6, Blue Beetle. This is a bit of a surprise that it's still hanging on at 6. 3.7 million, which is still terrible, but the last couple of weeks, most of the movies that drop below like 5 usually can't even crack a mil. It's done 114 million, which again isn't enough money. JEC, eco-terrorists running around starting fires. They arrested 160 of them in Greece. Wow. I had heard a number. I didn't remember it being that high, but we're eco-terrorists. We're going to save the forest by burning them down. Sounds like communism to me. Really got to start teaching people about how woke-tarded communism is. It's pretty stupid. It's pretty damn stupid. And if there's one saving grace of the woke-tards that are running around now and all the idiots who are doing this stuff, it's red-pilling people at a pretty precipitous rate, I think. We saw this week a woman in, I believe she's a Democrat in Minnesota, one of those Minnesota Democrats, one of those crazies out in the Midwest, and she was a big defund the police until she got beaten and carjacked in front of her own children so badly, I think they broke her leg too, and bloodied her really bad that Now she's all about law and order. But now some people are saying, well, it looks like it's fake because they actually took a picture of her bloodied and the red blood looked fake. Possible? Possible. Or it's possible she got bloodied and said, no, 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 don't wash the blood off. I got to take a picture because I'm a politician and I'm going to use this. But, I mean, if it's fake, then what's the goal? Would be my first question. I guess maybe the idiot leftists are finally turning the screws and saying, yeah, let's clamp down on everybody. Ban the guns and throw everybody in the gulag. Maybe. JC. First it was 70. That's the number I heard. Then the next day they busted more of them. Wow. 160. That's crazy. That is crazy. I didn't even think there's 160 people in the eco-terrorism business, but there you go. Base Greece, I guess. Finally throwing some people in jail. I wish they'd throw some of the eco-idiots in jail here, the chlamydiots. I think if you block a road, you should go to jail. Not, prison, but jail. You should probably do a month in jail. That should be sort of the base thing, and then they throw you in there, and if in a week you're sorry and you're good behavior, maybe they let you go probationary on a probationary thing, and then if you don't block a road, then you're fine. That's not the way to do a protest. And this is what I really hate about these leftists. They are such sheeps. They have decided that anybody who tells them how to do a protest, that must be the way to do it. And the people telling them are do not have their best interest in mind, number one. And number two, they are not effective at all. That is the least effective protest I've ever heard of. Blocking a road where normal people go to work. Not an effective protest. JC, I think people should be allowed to kick them in their head when they are blocking a road. No, I think the cops should just come and arrest them. If you're blocking a road, arrest them. Look, and it's counterproductive to your movement. If you want your movement to succeed on an eco level, don't block a road. What you want to do is block a driveway to a business that does some sort of pollution. Right? Oh, you block that road, the cops come right away and arrest you. But at least you block something that makes pollution. You block normal people on the highway, you're a friggin' idiot. You're not doing anything. You're not accomplishing anything. You're just a moron. The idiots who blocked Burning Man, they ought to all be thrown in jail for a week. At least a week. What a bunch of... JC, remember when they were destroying priceless works of art? Yeah, those people really ought to go to prison. Now, those people should go to prison. You can't replace those. The damage they do to them. It's unbelievable. What does that even have to do with the climate? You unbelievable asshats. Just, if you want to protest, here's how you do it. You hit the companies that pollute where they live, in their money. You wait until they're, you do some research. You wait until they, have to transport some stuff at a certain amount of period, and then you chain yourself to the fence, and it takes hours for them to call the cops and cut you off the fence, and then the trucks are late, and you've cost the company thousands of dollars. That's what you do. And I'm not suggesting you do it, by the way. By the way, I'm not suggesting you do any of this. But to be clear, I'm just saying that the effective way, first off, is not blocking a bunch of people who are just going to work. That is completely the least effective thing ever. Destroying works of art, not effective. JC, that was an and Indian reservation security officers so they were not beholden to U.S. law, so the cop ran them off the road. Yeah, I saw that at Burning Man. I know it was kind of based, but, you know, at the same time, like, would they even do it here in New Jersey? I don't know. That's the problem with cops. The real problem with cops is not that they're too violent, or, I mean, that's a problem, but it's not a general problem for cops. The real problem with cops is they too easily listen to authority and are willing to turn on a dime and crack down with the whole population. They did it during the pandemic here. They shut down businesses and let big businesses open. You got a little business? Close it down. Got a big business? Oh, we'll keep you open. No problem. And that should tell you all you need to know about authoritarianism. It's probably why states should return to a sheriff deputy sort of system for most local municipalities, because your local sheriffs are more independent. They're elected, number one, usually, and number two, they have to be local. You can't have a sheriff that lives 2 states away. You have to have a sheriff who lives in your town. That's how he gets elected. So if you have sheriffs and deputies, they tend to be locals. Now, in the old days, there were a lot of locals, and then they had their own laws. You don't want that either, but you need a balance. I think them being independent is, I think the corruption with them being independent is easier to deal with than the corruption of being part of a giant system of corruption. Anyhow, getting back on topic, Blue Beetle. 114 million probably isn't money, not even close. Everybody says this thing lost money. I believe it. I don't think it's any way it's going to make its money. So, I think once they put out that line, Batman is a fascist, it was done. 100% done. You insult everybody who reads DC Comics, and most of them read Batman. And you call Batman your biggest IP a fascist, you're idiots for letting that line through. And that line had to be approved through the studio. There is no way that that line was not vetted by the studio, because the whole script would have been. Someone at that studio effed up. I would fire every executive who was involved in that production on the basis of that alone. I would say, you guys effed this movie up. You let that line in, you're fired. Goodbye. Out of movies. Go work for Disney. But will David Zaslav turn the boat around? I don't know, man. Looks less and less likely every day. Number 7, Gran Turismo drops from 4 to 7. This thing's dropping like a stone. It seems to me. 49% drop, 3.3 million. 93 million worldwide. I don't think this is money. They must have used CGI on the cars. It's got 2 fairly named stars in it, and a big, licensing fee for this dealio. 93 million doesn't seem like money. It's doing well in Mexico, I guess. 4 million, 4.6 million. Surprised it didn't do better in the UK, quite frankly, but yeah, no other release dates. I think this movie's done. Mostly done. I mean, it's possible they squeaked in at 50 mil and maybe only spent about that much on advertising. Maybe it's a break-even situation, but I don't think it's money. It's going out of theaters. Dropped out of 1,000 theaters. It's dropping fast, it feels like to me. Oppenheimer. Well, Barbie did almost 6 million. Oppenheimer did 3. It's amazing how that tracks. Oppenheimer at almost 900 million worldwide, 891. So it's a little more than half for the profit. But I mean, still, in its 8th week, still doing $3 million. That's not bad. Number 9, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, $2.6 million. Again, this was all toys. $161 million worldwide. Kind of doesn't even matter. I believe the figure I heard was $1 billion in toys, so they don't even care. 161 million, probably covered a lot of it. Clint Miller's here. Hey there, everybody. Hello there, Clint. Clint Miller's here. Now at number 10 is Bottoms. 2 million. In its 3rd week, drops by 33%. 7.6 million. I mean, there's no name actors in this thing that I recognize. It is a gay teenage high school movie about 2 lesbians who start a fight club, and they're both in love with, I don't know, cheerleaders, I guess. And so it's basically substitute lesbians in the place of the guys, and that's what you get. This was made, I read, by the same company owned by Elizabeth Banks' husband, and they also made Cocaine Bear. So someone over there apparently is trying to bring back R-rated comedies, but at the same time trying to make them woke, which I don't think is going to work, but it might work for a tiny sliver of the population if you can make them cheap, I guess. I mean, I guess they're trying to make them for lesbians. That seems to be the new demo. 20 to 40-year-old lesbians. You'd sell a lot more movie tickets if you just made them for general audiences or 18 to 35-year-old guys as they used to. You know, instead of making a few 100,000 ticket sales, you could make millions. But sure, Bottoms. Number 11, Meg 2, The Trench, 1.2 million in its 6th week. I think they're going to make a 3rd one because it did 300 million worldwide, which is nuts. Yeah, China loved this thing. 114 million in China. That's more than it made here. They're definitely making another one of these. And if they don't use Jason Statham again to try to save money, they will get his Chinese equivalent, will be my prediction. Get me the Chinese Jason Statham. Number 12 is Strays. In its 4th week, this movie didn't do well. It looked okay. 22 million domestic, 9 million worldwide. 32 million? I don't know, man. This had a lot of CGI in it because it was all dogs. I don't think so. It doesn't sound like money, but maybe they didn't spend a ton of it because it would be cheaper for the celebrities because they're just doing voiceovers. But what's the name? MacGruber's in it too. He's in the live action portions of it. JC, Hollywood people, their delusional worldview is how everyone else feels. Yeah. Yep. They're pretty far gone in Southern California. I wonder, like, you know, things are so bad now in LA in terms of the poverty. I mean, I saw a video about Beverly Hills, empty stores, people living on the street, the whole bit. I wonder if it'll go full circle and you'll have people, you know, still rich Hollywood a-holes, but they try to do movies about being poverty-stricken, right? Like they just discovered poverty in a new way. Like, oh yeah, these people have nothing. I used to work as a cashier at a designer tie place on Rodeo Boulevard, and now I have nothing. Now I live on the street. Be kind of interesting. Although I suspect the entire system is on the verge of collapse. It feels pretty rough right now in Hollywood. Rumblings that the strikes are never going to end. They're definitely not ending before the end of the year. And deals have been cut. They got rid of Mindy Kaling. Ha ha ha. So, oh no, will we not get a Velma season 2? Oh no! I think the guys that are going to survive the great, I don't know what you'd call this, the great strikes, will be guys like Will Ferrell, kind of have their own deals on the side. Like if Hollywood collapsed, Will Ferrell would be fine, and I don't mean monetarily. Like he could still make movies and stuff. You know, he's got Funny or Die. I think he's got at least enough of an infrastructure he could probably make a movie and continue to like crank them out. JC suspended the deals anyway, not outright canceled them. Oh, well, yeah, but I think you know, to get those deals going again, they're going to have to take a huge pay cut, and a lot of them won't take it. Or maybe they will, I don't know. You know, because if you take a pay cut, I mean, Hollywood deals, when you're a name and they're good, it's like a lot of money. Like in recent years, it's been way too much money. But when it's like a contingent deal, you might not make anything. I mean, you literally might not make money. You know, they could they could say, okay, we'll let you make it, but you know, if your ratings don't hit this number, then we're not going to pay anything. I mean, they can make any deal they want. Yeah, they would get like union wage to like actually produce the thing, but beyond that, the real money is in like syndication and stuff. JC, they basically agreed to give them everything they wanted except the minimum number of writers in the writer's room. That's the rumor, but I don't know if I trust that. I don't know if that's true. Because who's reporting it? All the media companies are owned. And most of the guys on YouTube report what the media companies say anyway, so I don't know. I haven't heard from a guy on the inside that said, well, yeah, that's true. But maybe. I don't know. I don't think the writers are necessarily blowing the deal. I think the studios don't want a deal. I don't think they want a deal. I think they want to grind everybody down for a few more months, get them to accept, to at least open the door to AI, and possibly that's the sticking point there. And then, force them into a deal, but, oh, we saved the unions, but, like, the deal sucks. The deal's worse than before. And then eventually transition them into some sort of system where they could have writers or not, or they'll have a couple of writers to go over things, that kind of thing, and then the AI will do most of the work. I mean, I think for television, they have to do something. Television is going the way of radio. There's not going to be any money in it at the rate they're doing it. So if they're not going to invest any money in television, if television's just going away, then you have to cut the price or just pull the plug on the whole damn thing. JC, I think it's more that they want to get rid of all these bad deals they sign with hacks like JJ and Mindy. Yeah. No, absolutely. But they don't want to say they don't want the PR of like, oh, they just killed all these deals. They'll make it so unpalatable that Mindy won't take the deal. Like, her agent will say, well, you won't make any money. You shouldn't take this deal. Or like they won't make zero money because they have to pay them something. But that money is nothing when you're Mindy Kaling or J.J. Abrams. It's like not even enough money for them to live because they're living in LA and they have to live these highfalutin lifestyles. You cannot be Mindy Kaling and live in an apartment building in LA. You have to be living in a mansion. You're a name. So you got to be living in a house that costs you $2 million, and I didn't even want to think about the property tax in California. Holy crap. That must be freaking expensive. And they don't own it either. So she'll buy that mansion and she'll be paying a mortgage, sky-high mortgage, so she could write part of that off on her taxes. Plus she'll be paying the property taxes and whatever other fees come with living in California, I guess. And the idea is just to maintain the lifestyle, stay in the scene, so you can get a movie deal, a TV deal, whatever deal, so you can make millions and millions of more dollars. But, if her overhead, let's say her overhead is, I don't know, $100,000 a month, she's got to make more than $1.2 million a year to justify that. Right? I mean, her overhead could be that high. She is a name. She ain't living cheap. She's living a good life. So say it's $100K a year or $100K a month. She's got to be making $1.2 million just to break even. She's got staff. Someone like that has staff. She's probably got her own hair person. She's got a personal trainer. I know that because she just lost a bunch of weight. She's definitely got a personal assistant, I would say. An agent, a manager. And she's got all these people. She probably can barely keep track of them all. Probably got an accountant. Probably got a lawyer. And so she needs to keep raking in that dough. So if she has a year where she only makes $500,000, that's going to be a bad year for her if that's her overhead. And then what do you do? Well, I lost $700K last year. That ain't good. You got to get a deal worth a couple of mil at least. You got to get a deal worth $2, $5, $8 million so you can come out ahead. Then you got to pay the taxes on top of everything else. So, and everything is relative. And like even the guys I knew guys who were living there, they were making $300,000 a year, but they left with nothing when they moved out of LA. They left in debt. $300,000 a year, I'd live like a king in South Jersey. Oh yeah, I'd be about 50 pounds heavier because I'd be going out to restaurants every other night. Yeah, I'd be living like a hell damn king if I made $300K a year. In LA, you can live. I mean, it won't be terrible, but you won't be living like a king. Stormy is here. Good evening, Tony. Good evening, Stormy. Hello. Where were we on this list? Haunted Mansion? It's still in the theaters? Oh, still in 825 theaters. Did 101 million. That is definitely not money. I hear that movie costs at least twice that. $641,000. That is not good. And that's only in its 7th week? God, it seemed like that movie came out a while ago. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. $665,000. Just about out of theaters in its 9th week. Made $500 million. So, I mean, it probably made money just barely. Again, they'll probably re-release it when the second part comes out. I guess that's the marketing for it. Next is The Hill, one of these baseball movies. $6.5 million. That doesn't seem like money to me. Not with Dennis Quaid in it. A bit of a period piece. I gotta think that thing cost at least $20 million. Golda from Bleecker Street. $292,000. 4.1 million. That is not money, but it's another one of these historical dramas. I don't think they make a lot of money, at least in movie theaters. Maybe on the back end, because they'll be picked up by A&E and History Channel and channels like that. So they have other places that go. And it is Bleecker Street, so it probably didn't cost a huge amount of money, but Helen Mirren's in it. I mean, $4 million? That probably doesn't even cover Helen Mirren's fees. Elemental, $253,000. $476 million. Probably just barely money. Here's a movie that I did watch the trailer of. Just premiere. Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe. And I'm struggling to remember what the hell this movie was about. I can't think. Can't think of it. I don't remember if I liked it. I don't think I did. It was in 525 theaters and only made $240,000. Doesn't sound great. Video Cat Fest somehow still in theaters. They added it to theaters. What sort of maniac goes to a movie theater to pay to see cat videos? That sounds like serial killer material to me. You are nuts. Oh, it's all over the internet? I'll go pay $14 and see it in a movie theater. I'm crazy. $64,000. Hardly seems worth putting it in the theaters for that kind of money. JEC, Catfest is probably a touring deal. Oh, it is from Oscilloscope. I think that's a little bit like Fathom, but still. Kite is here with his cool little sticker, Piney sticker. Hello, Piney. People don't know the internet exists? Apparently not. It's just nuts. American Catsy. What the heck is that? Americatsy. Huh? I don't know what this is. $59,000. Freedom is a state of mind. Americatsy. I don't know what that is. Let's see what it is. Kite, Piney sticker, and Joan emoji. Emote sticker. Emote sticker? Emoji. That's what I was trying to think of that. Americatsy. What is that? Charlie escapes his Armenian genocide as a boy by fleeing to the United States, but he returns as an adult and is arrested. He watches Armenian couple from his prison cell, finally learning about his homeland. Well, that sounds incredibly depressing. Is it true? I don't know. It's a weird movie. Next is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. It's still in 100 theaters. Can you imagine going to see this now? Talk about your serial killers. Hey, you want to go see Indiana Jones 5? Yeah, I've lived in a cave with fingers in my ears for the last... how many weeks? 11 weeks. Haven't heard word one about Indiana Jones. Is it good? $57,000. Ardent. Pulled over to set Stormy's mind at ease. I'm passing Tobacco Road. Okay. Set her mind ease about what? Are you sleepy? Wake up! Wake up, Ardent. You're driving. Oh. What? What? Kite gifted Tony DiGerolamo 5 memberships. Oh, look at that. Holy cow. Well, thank you, Kite. Angry Admiral Akbar has got one. Bar Scale. Ibrahim Khan. Kite says, let's see who the lucky few are. Bino was gifted a membership. And Montel Edwards. What is that, random? Does that just pick randoms? JC asked, do I get one? LOL. Man, you're making me... Now I'm going to have to do more of those special videos now. Ardent, No moose, but the fog was so thick that I was going about 10 miles an hour at points, and the windshield started to frost over in the high country. Oh no. JC, I guess not. Yeah, I'm not sure how it works. Kite, sadly, I don't get to choose. It's anyone who has watched before. Oh, it's random. JC says, yeah, it's random. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Kite. That was so nice of you. That was very generous. I hope some of those people come to watch. Ardent, LOL, I see how it is. No membership for me. Driving again now. Watch out for the moose. Jeez. High country. What's high country in Canada? What's high country in the United States? I guess Denver. That's the mile high city. Oh, quick story. So I drove cross country a few times. One time we went to the Grand Canyon and the car kept stalling and we couldn't figure out why. And the mechanic was like, the reason your car keeps stalling is because your carburetor is adjusted for a lower elevation. And so it can't get enough air. And then he said, what I'll do is I'll push it to this hill. And he said, just roll down to the bottom of the hill. It's a few miles. And then start your car. And we were like, okay, but what if the car doesn't start? He goes, I guess you're walking back up the hill. So we rolled all the way down there and boom, it started like that. Kite, if it was Twitch, I could choose these active folks, but Twitch scummy. Yeah, I never really understood Twitch. JEC, BC has lots of mountains. Ah. Oh, okay. So he's like in the mountains and yeah, watch yourself, Arden. Watch yourself driving. Yeah, so Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny somehow still, I mean, I guess Disney has no reason to pull it if theaters will continue to play it to try to make their money back. $370 million. No way that's money, as we all have known for a while. After that is Theater Camp, $43,000. 4.3 million. Probably not money. Fremont, $127,000. Oof. Not in a lot of theaters though. 23. JC, not like there's new movies coming out. Yeah, we better get used to this list. They're going to be here a while. We're in week 917 of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and 3 people have seen it. It made a total of $27 this week. Wow, that's up from last week when it only made 4. That's me. 910 weeks from now, when there's still no movies. Old Boy, the re-release, made $30,000. Jules, which didn't look bad. In the old days, I think it would have done better, but it's not in a lot of theaters. Also from Bleecker Street, only made $18,000. I think this movie is, yeesh, that definitely is not money. 1.8 million? I don't think so. It's a shame because Jane Curtin's in it. Birth Rebirth, $11,000. Yeah, another movie that didn't even $126,000. Oof, that is not money. Little Mermaid, Black Mermaid, $560 million. $561 million. I don't know how they did make money on this. They must have made money on the soundtrack, though. Piaf looked like the dumbest, most pretentious movie ever made. $12,000. Whatever. The Unknown Country. What was this one? I don't remember. $53,000. And Lakota Nation versus United States, $1,264. Oh, you're not going to include the cents? What a ripoff. Made a total of $86,063. That is not good. I guess they made that. It's a documentary, I assume. So that's it. They do have a few. I mean, a few. They have tons of movies that could still come out. I keep seeing them. I mean, there's more and more trailers. I don't think we've caught up to the point at which they're out of movies yet. Give it another, let's see. I'd give it another 2 months, and then we're really going to see nothing. Then it's really going to be, I'm going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel looking for trailers. I just did a trailer review today, but I had to scrap it because I looked up the movie, and it was from 2018. It looks stupid as F, though. It was called Nightmare Shark, and it was literally about a group of people who have the same nightmare about a shark attacking them. And then they end up going to this scientist house, and he somehow can examine their brains or whatever, and he has the same dream too because he was actually attacked by a shark. And then the shark starts to become real, starts to make its way into the real world, but it's a shark in the nightmare, so it doesn't even look like a normal shark. It's really dumb, I thought. It's called Nightmare Shark if you want to see the trailer for it. But I made a trailer analysis, and then I found out, oh, it was made 5 years ago. What the hell am I doing? But I may be stuck doing that. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do when we finally run out of nothing. I guess, you know what I'll do? I'll do the Indian movies, because they're fun. Yeah, I just looked at one this week called, and I have to say this correctly, Fukrey 3. Fukrey 3 is the third installment of an Indian comedy. I think at least the first one, possibly the first two, were about guys in school. It was like a crew of guys in school, and then they graduate. The third movie is about one of the characters is running for office against this woman who, I'm not sure if they know them or not, but wackiness ensues. It's spelled Fukrey, but it is pronounced Fukrey. What did poor Ray do? I don't know. But the Indians have a really odd sense of humor, but it looked fun. It looked fun. I mean, the cast looked pretty good. Like, each character had his own deal. Like, one guy was like the scammer guy, and then you had the guy who was running for office was the really odd guy. He would ask odd questions. He just wasn't together. And then they had another guy who was more of like the level-headed guy, and then, you know, so like a crew of dudes. So it looked fine. It was subtitled, the trailer, so I could follow most of it. I would watch it. I didn't quite understand, though, like the hardest thing about watching a movie in, say, like India, especially a comedy, some of the comedy depends upon the environment, and you don't understand, like, the Indian educational system, for instance, or the Indian election system, or the government, how the government works over there. So part of the plot involved them. They had to raise 50 rupees in order to have an election thing. Either it was a parade or to enter the election at all. I'm not sure. 50 rupees didn't seem like a lot of money, but maybe they're all broke. I couldn't quite follow it. But, yeah, it didn't look bad. And then they have, like, lots of gangster movies over there. They're pretty cool. Even when you don't understand a word of what they're saying, they're still kind of cool because it's just all action. They love the action. And none of it's woke. That's the best part. I haven't seen a woke Indian movie yet. It is not woke at all. The women are women, the men are men. And it's like watching movies from the 90s, only you can't understand half the dialogue. And sometimes they slip into English. And sometimes they are in English. Those are the ones I like better because I can follow them easier. There was another one about wacky engineering school, and it was kind of like a college comedy, except it was in India, so it was like the dorm rooms were like nothing. Like the dorm rooms were very Spartan. They had furniture, and that was about it. And that was kind of funny. They were hanging their clothes outside the dorm to dry, and that it was kind of interesting. But again, I was a little unclear how the educational system. They talked about exams a lot. Exams were very important, so I could kind of understand that, but I'm not sure what the grading system was, and I think that came into play as part of the plot. So, Kite. They suffer no fools or ideology that go against religion. That is for sure. And also in Indian films, they will talk about religion and politics. They'll stuff, go right into it, no problem. But like, yeah, like not like here where you got to be careful, but they just go right into it. But I have no idea what's going on, so. All right. Lots of stuff happened in the trades this week. I won't even get to half of it, but try to skim some of it. Lil Nas X Docs. Lil Nas X documentary premiere at Toronto International Film Fest delayed by bomb threat from homophobic caller. That sounds totally AstroTurf. I don't know if I believe that. JC, that might be a good gimmick for the channel. You trying to get into the Indian movies, get a lot of views from India at least. Actually, that's exactly what happened when I looked at RRR, which if you haven't seen RRR, Rise, Revolt, and I forget the other R. That was a really good movie. And I got a ton of hits from it. But I didn't want to become the Indian channel, but I might have to be. I also look at the Nigerian movies, but their production values aren't anywhere near India. But ironically, they make more stuff in Nigeria than I think anywhere else. They crank it out, but their production values are like very low in my view. They're always shooting in the street. Nobody has a wardrobe. And the effects, if they put any in, usually come out of a laptop computer. And I haven't seen a really genuine good film come out of Nollywood yet. Nigeria. So they're trying to kick up their game, though. I've seen a few trailers that have been a slight improvement. But there's always a problem with the language, and for me, the language and trying to find ones that are that I can even figure out when they came out. But yeah, that I'll definitely do that. Kite. Oh look, another irrelevant star pulling a Jussie Smollett for relevance. Yeah, but he's doing it the smart way because there's no way, if that's true, there's no way they're going to figure out, they'll just say, oh, we couldn't find the caller. Like, they're not going to figure out who it is. And who calls anybody? Who do they even call? You ever try to call anybody anymore? Like, I have to call people for my Jersey Devil stuff, right? So, I'll get to your comments in a minute. I got to tell the story before I forget. So, like, I have to call schools, libraries, historical societies, other places. I'm trying to just call people on the phone to let them, to make my pitch to come out and talk about the Jersey Devil, right? You can't get anybody on the phone these days. There is a bar that I tried to get a hold of. They have no phone listed anywhere. I've searched everywhere for their phone number. They have no phone. You cannot get a hold of these people via phone. You can only email them or Facebook them or whatever. And there are a few businesses like that. And then the ones that do have phones, they never answer the damn phone. So you're telling me Someone called in a bomb threat. To who? TIFF? You're telling me there's a phone number I can call and say, hey, Toronto International Film Festival, let me talk to whoever's in charge. I don't know if there is a number like that. I don't know if they'd get through to anybody. They would probably just get put on hold. How did they even get the number? Anyhow. Arden. Home now. High country is relative. The area of Newfoundland I'm in goes from sea level to maybe 500 feet up, but it can be very rapid, and the humidity differential from low to high drops the temp fast. Kite. Just like his pregnancy photos and all his satanic imagery. Yeah, for Lil Nas, yeah. I don't remember the pregnancy photos. I have no interest in Lil Nas. I really don't. Like, I don't understand the attraction, but Kite, he started so normal, then my God, did he pull a Sam Smith very quickly. Is it even making him money? Because it kind of like he hit big, and I haven't heard from him up until now. JC, yeah, look up what the biggest Indian movies that have came out in the last little while and try to review them. Yeah, I very well may. Ardent, and I strained my eyes watching for moose. The fog was completely defeating the high beams for a bit, too. Fun. Sarcastic. JC, even homophobic people in Toronto know you're only giving them what they want when you pull stuff like this. Fake and gay. Yeah, it sounds very fake. Ardent, groups of arsonists have been arrested causing climate change. Yes, we were talking about that, I think, before you got on the stream. Kite, also, what person that actually wants to bomb anything gives warning? Especially if phobic and wanting them gone. Yeah, I just think it's very convenient for, to get him a little press. Ardent, turns out I accidentally swiped way back in the stream a minute ago. Well, welcome to current time. Yeah, so I don't know if this is real. I would love, just absolutely love it if he got exposed and it turned out to be fake, but Patricia Arquette, Lulu Wang, and more attend Variety and Chanel's Filmmakers Dinner. Why? Did Patricia Arquette make a film? I guess so. They're probably throwing deals to women left and right in Hollywood these days. I mean, they give Olivia Wilde the movie, so. Drew Barrymore announces talk show return, says new season will still follow WGA and SAG-AFTRA strike rules. How? I guess you're not going to talk about movies? Who the hell's going to be on? Alright, so let's get into the Danny Masterson thing, which I talked about in my Hollywoke hot take. You know, I don't know if Masterson is guilty. There's some... I think he may be guilty of something. I mean, it does sound bad. But, at the same time, Michael Tracy tweeted a bunch of stuff. He's an investigative journalist. He's pretty good. He tweeted a bunch of stuff, said some of it sounds a little sus, some of the evidence. So, there's that. Sounds like 30 years is a lot of time as compared to some of the recent murder convictions that got way less than 30 years. So there's also that. And now, everybody on that 70s show who wrote a letter in support of Danny in order to get him a lesser sentence is being dragged in the media for it. Now, I don't blame those people at all, because those people, I assume, aren't privy to his crimes. Like, if it turns out they knew he was guilty or super strongly suspected his guilt, I don't think they would have written the letters, because I don't think they're super obligated. But I gotta assume that Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis had no idea the guy had done anything, and assumed he was innocent. Now maybe they didn't. Maybe they know all his business. I doubt it, though. I doubt it. So I don't know why people are dragging them. I think it's like one of those things. It's like if you had a coworker, you're working with somebody for years, and then later they're accused of a horrible crime, your first reaction is probably going to be, well, that doesn't sound like them. This has to be wrong. This has to be a trumped up charge. At the same time, I kind of don't, I think some of it's probably true, but like Bill Cosby, they wanted to get him so bad, they were willing to trump up what little was there. So that's my take on it. And I think they should really stop dragging the other kids on That 70s Show. It just seems so stupid to drag them. And if it's true that they railroad him at least partially, I think you're going to see what happened with Bill Cosby. Yeah, he's in jail now, but now he's going to appeal. And as long as he's got money, he's going to keep appealing. And eventually, they might expose, oh, wait, see all this evidence you guys either suppressed or enhanced or whatever? Oh, mistrial, goodbye, on your way, Masterson. So if he is at least partially guilty, you should have nailed him on what he was actually guilty for and given him a regular sentence, because that would have been justice. Now I think on appeal or, whatever, he might get completely off. And that wouldn't be justice either if he's guilty. So, Kite, the term trumped up charges is more relevant nowadays than ever. LOL. Yes, it is. All right. Ben Stiller, Mark Hamill, and more defend Martin Short after op-ed calls him exhausting, sweaty, and desperately unfunny. Well, look, I like Martin Short. I think he's funny. But comedy is very subjective. People people you think are funny, you think people are funny or not. I don't think you need to defend Martin Short. He's a big boy. He could defend himself. So, whatever. Now we're going to defend people from critics. JC, where's the lie? I don't know. I liked Martin Short and his, what was his character? Ed something. That guy. The guy with the pointy hair. That is funny. I don't know. I like him. I liked him in Three Amigos. Kite, comedy is subjective, except Hannah Gadsby. LOL. Oh, yeah, because she's not really in comedy. She's more comedy adjacent. JC, he's not a big boy like he's 53. Isn't he older than that? Oh, he's not a big boy. He's like 5'3". Sorry. Now I get it. JC, I like Martin Short in, Three Amigos. He's in this movie with Kevin. The funniest thing I've seen him in. He plays Kevin Bacon's agent in the movie where Kevin Bacon is a young filmmaker that has to compromise all his ideas. I forget the name of the movie. And there's this scene where Martin Short is driving and smoking and talking on his cell phone, and he's so into the call, he switches hands, forgets he's driving, and now he's smoking a cigarette and dialing the phone, and he just takes his hand off the wheel and he nearly crashes. I think it's a great take. Ardent, Hannah Gadsby is more tragedy adjacent. And judging by her weight, donut adjacent, I'm guessing. You done barking, Joan? You done barking? Jessica Chastain encourages producers to sign interim agreements amid SAG-AFTRA strike It will show the AMPP how wrong they are. I don't think that's a good take at all. What does that mean? No, what you should be doing, Jessica, is you should be doing material outside the studio system to pressure them further. I also think the writers had a good idea. In case you guys didn't know, thank you for the emoticon, Kite. In case you guys didn't know, the Writers Guild, I think it was this week, went to Universal Studios and flyered the park. And so people going into the park, they were pressuring them about the strike, which I think is a good strategy because the studios need that park money. And I hear Disney is a ghost town. Universal wasn't impacted, but that's where you hit them. You hit them where they live. I think they should picket both parks heavily and make people feel weird about crossing that line. And you might have a lot of people who go, well, I'm a union guy, I can't go in. The whole family can't go in. We'll have to go do something else this weekend. There's other stuff to do in LA. I mean, not much for families, but there is other stuff to do. There's the La Brea Tar Pits. That's the only cool place I can think of in LA of doing things. I really did enjoy the La Brea Tar Pits. But yeah, other than Universal and the studios and Disney World, Chinese Theater, the Wax Museum, restaurants. I guess you could drive around and look at the homeless people. Ardent, outside the studio system, LOL, as if any of these Hollywoke progressives would work for the Daily Wire or any other right-wing extremist producers. JC, lots of things to do in LA. Organize bum fights? Yeah, that well, I don't mean going to the Daily Wire. They'd never do that. But they have millions of dollars. So you could shoot a low-budget thing. You'd have to go outside of California to do it. I mean, it would be effort. But you could just, even if you just shot a short film. But the thing is, you could pay the people who are really in trouble. There are people like living in their cars in LA that are part of the union. You could pay those people money to work on short projects to keep them going. Ardent, there's a nice observatory in LA now. Oh, right, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's the observatory from Rebel Without a Cause. And quite frankly, if it wasn't full of homeless people and crime, you can just drive around LA, and if you watched as much TV as I did back in the 70s and 80s, every other building's like, oh, I remember this building. What is it from? What is it from? Oh, this parking garage. I think this is from the Rockford Files. I mean, literally, every other building looks familiar. All the houses look familiar because they've been on TV like a million times. It's weird that way, driving in LA. It's really funny. When I lived out there for a short time, I went into this parking garage and I was just like, I know this parking garage. I know it's been in something I saw. But I couldn't tell you exactly, obviously. They shoot so much in LA. Some buildings have their own agents. So if you go into the building and you think, like what young filmmakers will do, and I've done it too. If you're in South Jersey and you're shooting something, you might just go into some random business and say, hey, will you let us shoot this scene here for a couple of hours? We'll either give you some money or we'll give you some credits or whatever. You scam your way in. If it's a slow day at the business, they might let you shoot there or whatever. Or you arrange it for a day where they know it's slow or whatever. That's what Kevin Smith did in Clerks. He got access to a mini mart to shoot Clerks in. I think he worked there. I want to say he worked there, and he shot there at night. That's why Dante can't open the thing to the store, because it's actually nighttime when they shoot it. But it's supposed to be daytime. Get it? So if you go into LA, you'll walk into a store and sometimes there'll be a plaque on the wall. If you want to shoot here, contact such and such agency, and you have to call them in order to shoot there. JC, he worked at the Mini Mart. Yeah, I thought he did. Ardent, LOL, I recognize landmarks in Venice, Florence, and LA thanks to video games being so well done these days. I think TV is dying significantly due to gaming. Yeah. Yep. Or sometimes it's just the architecture that's very familiar. You know, it's very similar. Or the video game guys took pictures of places and then just kind of used them without permission, which is fine, I guess. I mean, it's kind of stealing, but kind of changing it. I've known plenty of artists that do that. They take photos and then they draw over them. That kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, it's just... But LA now is, to me, such a dump. I mean, you take your life in your own hands. You're driving around there now. Back in the 80s and early 90s, it wasn't too bad. I was worried about the gangs, but the gangs didn't usually come around to the studios. I mean, they were off in Compton or whatever. But there would be like news reports locally about gang activity every once in a while. And that was back when they hated their, was it their mayor or their governor, who was a Republican, and he was cracking down on things. Who knew that that's exactly what California needs? Now they have these permissive progressives running the thing, and the place is going to hell. Can't even imagine what it's like there. And there was still crime there. It wasn't like there was no crime. It was just, it was being fought. Now, is anybody fighting the crime there? They're just raiding stores or whatever. So, yeah, it's not good. Ardent, South Central was the place to avoid in the 90s. In IIRC. There was a game that came out. Oh, God, I can't think of what it was, but Snoop Dogg was in it. And it was the premise of the game, you were a cop, an Asian cop in LA, and used karate and stuff. And you had to drive on a real map of LA. So it was an actual map of LA. And then what they did was they would populate the game. If you just drove across the map, just random calls would pop up and you'd have to stop and, you know, with a domestic call or whatever. And the problem with the game was it was really the map of LA. And if you've ever driven around LA, it's sprawling. It's miles and miles and miles of just suburbs. Some of them good, some of them bad. South Central, really bad. And some of them are gated communities. So you might see, at the time, I was using like MapQuest or whatever, and I'd print out my maps and drive around looking for studios or whatever, trying to find the addresses of places I had sent my scripts to in Variety over the years. And so you'd be driving and then you'd hit, you know, a wall because it was a gated community for like several blocks. So you couldn't drive through it. You had to go all the way around the community. And then that might take you into a bad part of town because I didn't know where I was. And but in the game, you didn't have that problem. But the map was so huge, you'd get lost in the map. So I had an assignment. I had to go to the airport. And I'm playing the game and I decide, screw it. I'm going to cut across the map through the suburbs and just drive around LA, and then I'll hit the highway and get on the airport. Well, I couldn't find the highway, and I kept getting these random calls that I had to keep. I thought I had to keep stopping for. It turns out you could ignore them all. You can just drive past people being murdered or whatever. And so, like for the next hour and a half, I'm just like, I'm never gonna get to the airport. These people keep committing crimes. So it was a bad idea to use a real map because LA is just so much sprawl. And in real life, I did get lost and ended up in South Central at one point, and it was pretty scary. But I kind of didn't know where I was at the same time, so it wasn't that scary. Later, I kind of figured out, oh yeah, I think I was in South Central. Now that I see the map that I consulted later. Um, these days, you have a GPS, so it'd be a little easier to avoid those areas, I'm imagining. Anyhow, moving on. Bounding into comics. All right. Rob Schneider compares woke ideology to a religion. If you dare oppose any of it or question it, you're a heretic. Based Rob Schneider. I never thought I'd be singing the praises of Rob Schneider later in my life. Because when Rob was on Saturday Night Live, I was like, oh, he's so annoying. The copy guy, really? Now I'm kind of like, oh my God, he's one of the last comedians. Nexus Mods founder confirms site will delist any mods that remove pronoun modifier from Bethesda's Starfield. So I don't know if any of you guys are playing the whole Starfield thing. The big controversy was the pronouns. I don't know why they would include them in a game like Starfield. See, like, the whole point of science fiction is to project outwards into the future, right? So if you're going to project pronouns into the future, Ardent, who would have expected Rob Schneider would be the anti-woke guy, right? Yeah, I'm still reeling about it. And every story I hear about him behind the scenes is more hilarious than the next. So it's like one of these guys that just, I don't know, I guess he got ruined by Saturday Night Live like everybody else. A lot of guys got ruined by Saturday Night Live. They were on the show and they weren't that funny, or they got a bit and they beat it into the ground. Ardent, it's a Bethesda game. I'll give it 5 or 10 years for them to work the bugs out. Yeah. What's the name? Razorfist played it in what he called a roast of the game. Like Skyrim, personal face game. Ardent. So he played it the other night, and during the game, he had a sidekick, and she died, and she's not supposed to die. And because she died, there was a scene between one of the NPCs and Razorfist's character and his sidekick, who was dead. And when the dialogue went on, personal fave game. Oh, personal fave game is Skyrim. Now I get it, Ardent. So when the dialogue was happening, it would cut to the dead body of his sidekick character lying on the ground. So then he reloaded the game, and she was alive, but she was stuck in a wall. So then he threw a grenade at her, and it blew her out of the wall, and then she was fine. And then later in the game, for no reason, one of the characters was raptured up and out of the game. For no reason. It just started levitating and went up through the ceiling, and that was it. Kite, the thing that is hilarious, the pronouns aren't even respected in the game. If someone picks non-binary they them BS, it still uses the real pronouns of the character's sex. Well, that's stupid. That was the whole point. I thought that was the whole point. So in other words, they included the pronouns in a way that didn't please anybody. Kite, yet they still defend it, even though any other situation the gender mafia would be up in arms. Well, again, it's just these guys. They don't really care about gender or anything. They just want to make trouble. They just want to be Marxist. They just want to intimidate people and force them to do whatever they want. Right now, they want to do this. Next week, they'll come up with something else. But I say don't play the damn game. I mean, some people say it's pretty good, but I don't have any interest in playing a game like that. Zero, none. Science fiction, you're supposed to project into the future. If people are using 52 pronouns now, well, if you project that into the future, it should be everybody has a wacky pronoun. Like unpronounceable pronouns, like ridiculously long, or more likely, this pronoun stuff was just a phase and nobody does it anymore. And everybody looks back on this era and goes, oh, that was stupid. Kite says to me that they added it so they could have an army defend their typical Bethesda mid-tier game. Ooh, burn from Kite. Yeah, I say just don't play it. Make them pay. Make them pay, I say. Or rather, don't pay them. Netflix live-action One Piece producers say scripts ready for second season. Expect to receive renewal decision in the next week or 2 weeks. The show's doing very well, so I would imagine this is going to be renewed. I watched the first episode. I liked it a lot. I liked it enough I might watch more. I mean, it was pretty good. It's not bad. Kite. Also, clearly, they don't know science. They have a clone of a guy that is a woman. That's biologically impossible because the DNA would make him a man unless it was changed, in which case it's not a clone. True. True, I assume. Although there was a sci-fi story about that. John Varley wrote it. It was about 2 characters, and it turned out one was a clone of the other, and one was male and one was female, and then they fall in love, and then they run off together. It was weird. But yeah, these people are just, they're not interested in gender. They're not interested in anything. They're interested in one thing and one thing only. Making you listen to them. Because they are powerless, weak individuals who, this is the only way they can make people listen to them. By yelling at people. Ardent. Az has a great roast of Hassan Piker. Piker said Az's rant was proof he needed to have we need to have lobotomies. Az's response, at least they could lobotomize me. Yes, I did see some of that. Hassan Piker. I don't understand. I don't know who's more stupid. Hassan Piker, probably his fans. You have to be so complete brain dead to be watching a supposed socialist while his mother makes him chicken nuggies playing video games and talking about stuff. I mean, his takes are absolutely brain dead in my view. Totally brain dead. I don't know why you would watch them. I think he just says things. And I guess he's on the magical list over at YouTube where he gets promoted all the time. I mean, this is a guy who walks around in designer clothes and claims to be a socialist. Claims to be, oh, so left and wonderful. I'm sure he's going on and on about climate change and every other thing. I'm sure he's all about the Ukraine and all that BS. I'm sure any which way the wind blows, yeah, he'll be for it. If the regime tells him, jump, Hassan Piker, I would imagine, would say, how high, my lord? How high, so I can continue to have nuggies and drive a car? And meanwhile, he must laugh his A off in his high-priced car with his millions of dollars. He must laugh at his own fans. I bet he hates his own fans. I bet he laughs at you. If you're a fan of Hassan Piker, I would say he probably spends 24/7 talking to his friends about how stupid you are to hand him even one red thin dime. Red being apt in this case. My opinion. Kite. As is a problem. Also, people focused on his rant of pronouns because it was so much more ranty than his actual problems, which makes the anti-gender ideology all look like him. That's true, but they weren't going to listen to him anyway. It's not like he could have a rant and they would go, oh yeah, he's right. I mean, the upshot is, it's got a bunch of subscribers. Hopefully cannibalized some of Hassan Piker's guys. Hopefully a few of them went, oh, you know what? I'm an idiot for watching Hassan. I should be watching this guy. His rants are way better. JC, sounds like something Carl Jung would love. Ardent, attention-starved tantrum chuckers. JC, in his $5 million mansion, he's on Twitch. Yeah, it's just amazing. $5 million mansion for And sometimes I've heard he just puts things on the TV and walks out of the damn room like he's not even in the stream. I don't know how they allow him to do that. How has he not been struck down by a copyright? I got a copyright strike on Mary Had a Little Lamb. I did and I might get it again because I said the title. I don't know. I don't know why YouTube copyright struck me for Mary Had a Little Lamb. They're making another horror movie about that nursery rhyme. It looks dumb as F. The only thing I can think of, I called the movie I called the whole premise of the movie stupid. So the movie company saw my trailer or trailer reaction and went, oh, we'll copyright strike him so he can't make any money. Maybe he'll remove it off his platform. I mean, you want people talking about a movie like this because it doesn't look like a good movie in my view. It looks terrible. It looks low budget. It looks just schlocky as hell. But go ahead, revel in that. That's a way to sell the movie. But I got a copyright strike. Ridiculous. Ardent. He is TYT adjacent, is Piker. Yeah, he's like Sank's nephew, right? I loved his very intimidating martial arts demonstration. LOL, it looked like a take one Tabo session with an asthmatic. Oh yeah, it looked. I mean, James Lindsay, he does a lot of martial arts, and he could totally kick his A, I think. Yeah, that's a guy you want to go up against. Why don't you challenge him to a fight, Hassan? That would be hilarious. But he would never, ever accept a fight challenge, I don't think, Hassan Piker. He just wouldn't. I think his entire persona and shtick is a grift. I think everything he does is a grift. So he walks right up to the line, infuriates people, says horrible things, and then he just walks it back and just collects his money. That's it. It's all about the money, I think. I don't think it's anything to do with his opinions at all. True opinions, anyway. JC, the chicken tendy gimmick is to make him relatable to his loser audience. I guess. Doesn't sound very healthy. I don't. Maybe he doesn't really eat them. I mean, doesn't seem to be fat. Ardent, an audience full of basement-dwelling commie wannabes. I just don't understand why. Why him? Like, I don't understand it. Like, the moment some guy stops being entertaining for me, I just stop watching. I immediately lose interest. I mean, I have the attention of a fruit fly, but still, I mean, I just stop watching. Like, I can watch mere seconds of Hassan Piker before I go, oh, God, who the hell could watch this? He's not entertaining in my view at all. Like, Az is entertaining. You know. I mean, after a while, it gets to be a bit much if it's the same thing over and over, but... Kite, because you have the gall not to be woke. Yeah. How dare you, Tony? Yeah, I know. That's why I'm going to get killed. I'm going to get knocked off of YouTube. My channel, dead for 2 weeks. Now it's back. I started getting more hits again, and I blasted YouTube on Twitter for it. It's like, why does this keep happening? They keep changing the rules. They keep striking me for things that... I see other guys play parts of the trailer in... blowing up. Oh, I got a match on dating app. You know, I see people play trailers. The whole trailer they'll play. They'll talk, and I did that for a while, and then I got struck. It's like, okay, so you can only like the movie and play the trailer? Is that the deal? That's what I think it is. I think they want to create a situation where the only videos are seen are positive videos for product and content. Ardent, Stevie Ray Vaughan did the best version of Mary Had a Little Lamb. Remember Billy Blank's Taboo tapes back in the 90s? That sounds very familiar. JC, he grew up as a fat boy. He's handsome. Ardent, Piker? I'm prettier than Piker. Ardent, Stormy says so. may be slightly biased. Who's the guy who, was it Sam Hyde, the crazy wrestler dude, who keeps saying stuff I can't repeat on YouTube? Anyhow, enough about Hassan Piker. Who cares? So, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and Spider-Man director Sam Raimi up for Secret Wars, Avengers Secret Wars. Does anybody care? Does anybody care at this point? Does anybody even want to see Secret Wars? How are they even going to do it? Ardent, oh God, I love Sam Hyde. It's very funny. Kite, Sam Hyde is hilarious. Piker won't fight. LOL. That would be the most amazing fight ever. He should do it. Sam isn't going to hurt him. Yeah, he'd get knocked around a little bit, but so what? Piker seems like a young enough guy. He's not going to die. I don't think Sam's going to try to kill him. They're going to have a fight. You know, they'll have gloves on. Have a fight. Do it for charity. Probably wouldn't do it for charity. Ardent, I think. Ardent, wait, they're still making Marvel movies? Apparently they're talking about Sam Raimi to direct Avengers Secret Wars. How the hell are you going to have Secret Wars? Can anybody explain to me how the F you're going to have this Secret Wars with every Marvel character? You haven't even introduced the Fantastic Four, number one. Haven't even introduced them yet. You don't have the X-Men in yet. How are you going to have the Secret Wars? Who the hell's going to be in it? You're going to need Spider-Man. You're not going to be able to do the Venom storyline. That's where Venom started, by the way, in Secret Wars, if you don't know. I'm sure most of you do. How are you going to do this? How are you going to do it without Captain America and Tony Stark? How are you going to do this? Doesn't make any sense. Ardent, Hyde would whoop his A, but yeah, wouldn't really be out to kill. Yeah, he's a performer. He's playing at being crazy. You can tell. You can tell. The guys who are crazy, they can't get TV shows. They can't hold it together long enough to get on TV or do anything. I just wrote this article for Clownfish TV about dealing with fans, and then a section's about, dealing with crazy fans, potentially crazy fans. And one of the things you do to vet people is you just delay them. Because people who are truly insane or narcissistic or whatever, they don't have any patience. So when you put people off, and they'll just lose their S, and then you know immediately, well, I can't deal with this guy. Ardent, Marvel needs to wake the F up and give a real nerd some power to make an integrated universe. Yeah, it's just pointless to do Secret Wars at this point. Unless you're going to bring back Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, but at this point, I think the whole MCU is effed up. Ardent, I cracked the code on stalkers. I'm marrying mine. What is this going to be? Okay, you're going to have Falcon, Captain America, and Bucky, I guess. Then you're going to have War Machine? Maybe, if you can get Don Cheadle. If he's still in the MCU by the time you roll this out. You're going to bring in Echo, Ms. Marvel, Captain Marvel, who I don't think anybody's going to care about him in the movie coming out. You're going to bring him back in Secret Wars? You're not going to have the Hulk? Where's the Hulk? Without the Hulk, forget it. Who's one guy? You'll have Chris Hemsworth, maybe, if you had backed the money truck to his house again. And I don't think you have the money to even make this damn thing, now that I think about that. You're going to try to give these guys a pay cut? You might as well recast and hit the reset button now. Recast the whole thing with a bunch of pretty boys and pretty women. Or, a bunch of pretty boys and make everybody trans. I mean, that's what it seems to all be heading towards. Just do the trans Marvel universe and get it over with. Ardent, starting from scratch seems a better choice. Big names are expensive, so recast newer, younger actors and focus on them getting into long-term contracts a la the Golden Age studios. Yeah, or a la Star Trek Next Generation, that's one of the things they did. Starting with Next Generation, they said, oh, we got to get these guys locked in. We got to make sure they'll do X amount of conventions every year. So they're locked in to do that. Now, who cares, of course, but I don't think they have the ability to do it. There's just no one left at Marvel to pull this off. I don't know if Kevin Feige had ideas to begin with. Look, there are guys, I think, who are talented, like James Gunn. Like, I think James Gunn is an actual talent. But they've moved him up to management, which may impact his talent. So it's like, you kind of need both management and talent. But you need the management to be good. They have to be visionary, and they have to protect the talent. And they have to know what good talent is. If they don't, if they're protecting bad talent, it doesn't matter. If they don't have the vision to move forward, it doesn't matter. They don't have anybody with vision. I think they have a bunch of Nepo babies running around their studios. And I've seen and met a few of them, and they're absolutely the worst. Third generation, rich kids, they don't care. They have just been spending money like nonstop since they've been born. It's all they know how to do is spend. And, just satiate whatever urge they have at the moment. They don't know how to make a movie, in my view. Ardent, I think Whedon was the big brain in the MCU, and with him gone, well, it's very possible. I mean, he's a talent. And it's partly like success really ruins things in Hollywood these days. And this has been a problem going back to the blockbusters of the 80s. Prior to that, in the 70s, you did have guys who were successful. You even had superstars, but it wasn't like it was starting in the 80s. When the 80s hit and the blockbusters hit, there was so much money all of a sudden. And so the money has ruined these people. There's just no room in Hollywood for small movies anymore. And that's a shame because small movies work. Look at Sound of Freedom, 14 million, creeping up to 200 million. Ardent, third gen kids, no hunger, no struggle, no understanding of struggle. Exactly. None. They just don't know. And they don't, you could try to explain it to them, but it's like, they don't get it. They don't get it. And it cuts both ways, too. It's like, I saw a documentary, and this is a great documentary, by the way. It really gives you insight to these people. It's done by one of the DuPont kids. And it's about his life and his friends and how, like, they can't date normal people. Part of it is. Because they're so rich, they just can't date outside that world. Because, if you date someone, you don't know if they're dating you for your money. And even if they're not, you have so much. It's like it creates this incredible imbalance in your relationship that you can never quite rectify. And most of them can't anyway. And so the documentary is about them struggling with this and how they become very insular because of that. They're stuck in the same circle of people because if you don't have at least the same amount of money they do, you can't even roll with them because they have so much money, they literally can do anything they want. So imagine having a friend that could just say, hey, you want to go to, China on Saturday? And you're just like, I got to work. Oh, well, don't work. I'll give you $50,000. Just come with me. Like, this is the kind of money these people have. Okay, you give me $50,000 just to hang out with you? Yeah. That creates a relationship. Essentially, you're working for your friend. You're not his friend. You're his employee. You're being paid to be his friend. And if he waits around until you have the time to go to China or whatever, wherever, he's not going to wait. So it's oddly lonely to be that rich. And it isolates you from the other end as well. It's not just about them being spoiled, and they are, but Ardent, where do I get a friend like that? But that's the thing, you can't. You wouldn't be friends for long. Because your friend would be like, okay, Ardent, now we're in China. I want to do this. And you might be like, F that. Let's just stay in tonight and watch the Chinese TV or whatever. And they would be like, but I paid you 50 grand. The first time you got in an argument, he'd be like, I paid you 50 grand to come, and you're just hanging out in the hotel room. That's the problem. He couldn't give you enough money to hang with him. He'd have to, I don't know, he'd have to give you like, I don't know, $40 million just so you'd be independently wealthy of him. But then if you decided not to be his friend anymore, then where would he be? He wasted $40 million. So, money changes everything. Wheel of Time director and EP Sana Hamri says show allows viewers to immerse themselves in Robert Jordan's world. This is for season 2. I don't believe them. Everything I heard about season 1 sounded terrible. So, they sound like they're desperate for viewers. Anybody watching Wheel of Time? I hear it's bad. I hear it's woke. It looked woke in the trailer, and I called it, and then I got yelled at, and then people came back and said, no, you were right. It is woke. Ardent, we'd be unable to relate to each other, too. Yeah, that's kind of it, too. Like, how do you relate to someone, like... My biggest problem is going to the supermarket and trying to get enough food for the week. Like, somebody that rich, they couldn't relate to it. They couldn't possibly relate to it. Ardent, lies. I watched 3 whole minutes of the first season. It's not Jordan's world at all. Wow. That bad. 3 minutes? It was that bad, huh? All right. I'm going to let you guys debate this next headline while I run to the bathroom because I'm floating over here. David Zaslav reiterates his plan to focus on big franchises like DC, Harry Potter, and The Lord of the Rings. Get ready for it. He says, this is Zaslav, that they have been underused. DC, Harry Potter, and Lord of the Rings have been underused, according to Zaslav. Ardent, oh yeah, totally destroyed the lore. So you guys discuss that. I'll hit the bathroom and be right back. Good in there, Joan? All right, I'm back. Ugh, okay. Ardent, under effing what? Ardent. So Zaslav's an idiot. JC, very professional stream. Thank you. Ardent at JEC. This is like a Piker stream without the TV for company. Hey! LOL. Clint Miller, when you depart from canon, you destroy the universe. That's true. Ardent, Tony needs to invest in catheters? Clint Miller, exactly. Or no, that was at Clint Miller. Exactly. Um, yeah, like, why would you redo Lord of the Rings? I think Peter Jackson nailed it. Like, okay, you're going to add Tom Bombadil. Whoop-de-doo. Kite. They should disappear, then complain. Then they can't complain. They are literally on every TV year. Get consistent spin-offs and mains. If Zaslav grew a brain cell for this take, it'd be lonely. Yeah, I mean, and to redo Harry Potter seems too soon too. I mean, they were pretty well received. Seems like you could still play Harry. You could watch Harry Potter movies and Lord of the Rings and be fine with it. I don't think you. What are you going to improve? Not much. Clint Miller, Eric July was on to something. What with regard to canon? Joan just came back into the room. Joan, stop barking. Come here. Come on. Come on. Everybody wants to see it. Come here. Come here. Come here. Yeah. Yeah. Come here. Come here, Joan. Ah, you jerk. Kite. Sorry, I clearly had a stroke writing that. Sorry, playing Baldur's Gate while listen. Oh, don't let me interrupt you having sex with a bear. Anyhow, yeah, I just thought this take was just unbelievable that he's going to redo Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings just to make some money. It just doesn't seem like a good idea. Ardent, there must have been a franchise worthy of revival before the 80s, surely. Yeah, there's tons of stuff. The worst part is these guys all have book divisions. They've got literally thousands of books that they either own the rights to or have access to, or they could pay people a pittance and make movies and TV shows up. But that's not what they do. They want a product that has a built-in audience. And they don't see that for anything else now. And now that the money is disappearing from the economy, they're even less likely to go outside of those, IPs. Clint Miller, yep, with regard to canon, Tony. Kite. Peter Jackson even added strong independent women moments just because that nobody complained because it fit. And yet they want to add everything willy-nilly? I who knows what he wants to do with it, quite frankly. Ardent, the Destroyer, Remo Williams should be a fun one to see done again. Yeah, they never really did that one right. That would be one I could see. They didn't quite do it correctly. Buckaroo Banzai is another one. Mac Bolan, the Executioner, is one they absolutely could do because it hasn't technically been done. It is the character that they say the Punisher is based on. And if they did, and Mac Bolan, the Punisher, has 331 novels. Yeah. So imagine you start a Mac Bolan, the Executioner film franchise, and you have 333 novels to choose from. But they won't do it. Because number one, you should probably set it in the 70s where it was written and when it was published. Kite, I am not sleeping with the bear. I am wholly devoted to my born-again devil's warrior slave, Karlach. She's too good for the world. LOL. Okay. So if you started with Mac Bolan, the Executioner, and just went through the novels, I mean, and they were a hit, and they probably would be because he's essentially the Punisher. I mean, you'd have a strong franchise. Ironically, the only well-written, non-cliche character, says Kite. It's like, and they have stuff you probably never heard of that they either bought the rights to and they shelved it because it was too close to something else and they didn't want another movie company to buy it and put out a movie to undercut the movie that they had in production, which they do all the time. So let's say you wrote a book and it was going to come out in, I don't know, or it came out prior to Star Wars. And it was a lot like Star Wars, but it wasn't Star Wars. It wasn't a ripoff or anything. It just seemed like Star Wars to the movie guys. And they're about to release Star Wars. They might come to you and give you 10 grand and say, oh, we're going to make this movie. And you say, oh, great. And then they just shelve it just so nobody else can make it. Ardent, there was a Western smut novel series my dad used to read called The Gunsmith that would probably be pretty good if done like the 80s movies as far as the nudity went. Yeah, there's so many novels. They could just pick a hit novel. There's a series of books I read. It's about a guy who it's like a multiverse thing. So the premise is he is a private detective and his girlfriend's killed, and he didn't know how she was killed, and he investigates, and then years later the organization that killed her shows up and he goes after them, and he ends up falling through this portal to another dimension. And the reason he couldn't find the guys is because they're from another dimension, and there's two forces going to different Earths. One is an evil group, and they're going to different Earths to conquer them by finding whoever's the strongest in that Earth and giving them a bunch of money and weapons and technology. And then there's another good force from another alternate Earth that's vying to try to save people. So it wasn't a bad series. Make a perfectly good TV show. I don't remember the name of it, but I remember it had kind of a weird name. Ardent, a Sliders movie series would be interesting, maybe. I think they got to abandon Sliders. They never got it right. They kind of undermined their own characters by the 4th or 5th episode. It had good premise, but the series I just described had a sort of a better underlying premise. So the idea was the good universe that was trying to help people, they were more like the Federation. The original Earth that they started from was based in a world where Athens took over the entire planet, and they were wise and nice and powerful. Then they were up against the Carthaginians, and that was a world where the Carthaginians, for whatever reason, took over the planet, but they were evil and they worshipped Kali, and they had a couple other things. So they would come to Earths, and so like the one Earth they take over is they're backing the bad guy from Germany, which is the most obvious example if you've ever read any alternate history stuff, right? So they back the bad guy from Germany and they give him a bunch of technology. And that war lasts until the 70s in that alternate universe. So it was kind of cool. Ardent, I'd love to see the Dresden Files made into a movie series too, but after TV adaptation travesty, I understand why Butcher hasn't signed off on one. Yeah, I mean, Hollywood's weird. They get into moments where they do this stuff and then they buy up everything and then they sit on it. And some get made and some don't. If they perceive yours is like another movie coming out, they'll just shelve you. So I'm sure there are plenty of superhero characters that got shelved because the MCU was coming out. Disney didn't want them competing. In fact, that's what happened to the first Fantastic Four movie. They bought it and shelved it because the plan was to get Christopher Columbus to direct a Fantastic Four movie. So they wanted to make sure that movie, which everybody hears is not very good, never saw the light of day. And that's why it kind of really hasn't. Although I think people have seen it. As Mark Waid said, it's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Yeah. So there's lots of stuff they do. They could bring back the Night Stalker, Kolchak. He's still very popular in certain circles. There's a million things to do, but will they do it? No. Because they also want stuff that's woke and for today's audiences. And they also don't have the talent. That I think is the main thing. They don't really have the talent anymore. These writers, I mean these She-Hulk writers, they're talking about a second season of She-Hulk, by the way. In case you don't know it, they're talking about season 2 of She-Hulk, a show that should never see the light of day ever again because of the way the writers talk to the fans. That was the writers mostly. Some of the actors too, but mostly the writers. You want to talk about a show that made people hate writers? I think it was She-Hulk. Ardent. Monster Hunter International would be a great film series. Mercenary monster hunters traveling the globe, but similar to the mercs from the first Predator. Or you just make something up. I mean, I had a pitch for an ABC show. Well, it could have been any network, really. And I don't want to give away the premise because I don't know if we'll ever do it, but it had cool stuff in it like that from history. Ardent, She-Hulk, yeah, second season they're talking. They may very well do it because they care that little, I think, about D+. I think the only thing that will stop it will be that Disney will just stop production of everything in order to sell out to Apple, maybe. Rumor, Warner Brothers not marketing Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom because they know it's bad. They know it'll lose money. Which means it's going to lose even more money if that's true. Like I said in my video, Hollywoke Hot Take, I don't know why they didn't just deep fake Amber Heard out of the damn thing anyway. But, I mean, that to me is the only thing really holding the movie back, other than maybe they don't want to promote it either. In which case, why even put it out then? Why not just save yourself the aggravation entirely? But at least if you got rid of Amber Heard and you deep faked her out of the movie, you would give people a reason to say, okay, I'm not going to boycott the movie. Maybe I'll go see it. Maybe it's good. I don't know. How are you going to do it with no marketing? During 2 strikes where you got no new movies coming out. Doesn't make any sense. Angel Studios announces anime-inspired Gabriel and the Guardian series. I have no idea what that is. It sounds religious. Rumor, numerous Star Wars Disney Plus shows to be delayed, including Skeleton Crew, Ahsoka, and Andor. I think that's code for they're being canceled. Again, just being canceled more slowly. Maybe Ahsoka might survive that. Maybe, because Dave Filoni's the lead, and apparently nobody can fire Kathleen Kennedy yet, so that may be part of it too. That may be why the strike's going to not end until next year, because Disney is the biggest media company in the United States, and Kathleen Kennedy's contract doesn't run out until December. So if they hold out until December, she can't start any new projects. Ardent. Stormy and I watched an episode recap of the Depp Heard trial today. Entertaining watching her learn about the court stuff. Episodic. Oh, episodic recap of the Depp Heard trial. Got it. Yeah, it was pretty nuts. Not as good as the OJ trial, but pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. So yeah, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. So Disney delaying all these shows, canceling shows. I mean, Skeleton Crew, I didn't even think that one was still going on. Andor, I don't know why they're continuing that, although I heard some good things about that. Ahsoka, they said the first 3 episodes were practically unwatchable, and then some people raved about the 4th episode. I mean, literally, this is episode by episode. This is not what you do with a $1 billion franchise. If I spent $1 billion on anything, I guarantee you every episode would be so amazing. It would make the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones look like a bucket of puke. How can you spend this kind of money and not get the most amazing series ever? How do you do that? You do that with no talent, essentially. It's just amazing. They just don't have any writing talent. They have destroyed, I think, all their writing talent through not just being woke, although that's a huge factor. That's a huge effing factor. It's destroyed comedy, and it's destroyed any chance of reality entering into these plots. But they understand they were destroying writing before this too, in a general sense that Hollywood always does. So Hollywood, it's always some guy, a producer, or the guy financing the thing, sitting in a chair going, well, why don't we do this? Or why don't we do that? Or, hey, I got an idea. Why don't you put my sister-in-law in as one of the characters? Or why don't you, hey, I got a restaurant. Can you put one of the scenes in my restaurant? Or I own a steamroller company. Can you make sure one of the scenes takes place at the steamroller company? These are the kinds of demands that, unless you have really good writers who can kind of roll with it and fix it, it can derail entire storylines very easily. And if you have people who are just checked out and they don't care, they're just collecting a paycheck, they eventually say, screw it, I'll just do whatever this guy says and write whatever he says, and I'll just collect my money. The movie doesn't have to be good. The script doesn't have to be good. It just has to have those elements in it he asked for. And then he'll think it's good. And that's all you care about. And then when the ratings don't pan out or nobody wants to go see it, you can blame somebody else. Well, I wrote what you said. Is what you told me bad? Is that the problem? No, they're going to blame the actor or the marketing or whatever. Every movie is like a giant pile of money. And they put the pile in the center and everybody grabs it until it's gone, and then they put the movie out, and then hopefully they get the pile of money back. But a lot of times they don't, because a lot of people just don't care. It's as simple as that. Now, when I wrote a screenplay, sometimes people would actually read it and go, hey, this is a pretty good story. And that would be their reaction, which I always used to marvel at, right? I'd hand them the screenplay and they'd read it, and they would give me this look like, okay, I'll read your screenplay. Like, oh God, I have to read this. And then later, I would meet them after they read the screenplay, and the reaction would be like, hey, your screenplay was good. Like, saying it as if, that's weird. You actually can write screenplays. I didn't know anyone could. That was the way they would come back at me. And I never understood that. I thought I was just talented. No, it turns out everybody in Hollywood just sucks. Most people in Hollywood just suck so bad that if anybody talented gets in, people are surprised. People would read my screenplays and go, huh, this actually makes sense. It goes from one scene to the next and it works. What happened? So that's Hollywood. Now imagine it 10 times worse, and that's like a movie with money. Because imagine me in a meeting. Yeah. That's stupid. Did you just say the word stupid? Yeah. Yeah. Am I fired? Yeah, you're fired. Get out of here. It's just the way it is. Unfortunately. Every once in a while you get somebody who's smart and who actually wants a screenwriter, but I haven't met those guys. Drew Barrymore announces talk show return. No one cares. Who cares? Are these going to be the same headlines? Djokovic versus Medvedev. How to watch the U.S. Open and men's tennis final online free. Okay. If anybody wants to do that, it's on the Hollywood Reporter link here. What else? More on Danny Masterson. Here was a weird headline in Hollywood Reporter. This guy. Now, they announced this, and I immediately thought, oh, weird. They're talking about comic books. They're talking about a hot comic that sold over 137,000 copies, which isn't that hot. It's all right these days. It's pretty good. Anything over 100K is pretty good. It's called Unnatural Order. And then you read the article and you realize they gave away the copies. So it got 137,000 ordered. Yeah, they're free. I'd order a whole 1,000 of them for the store if I was still managing a comic book store. What the hell? If it looks halfway decent, I'll just give them away. Or, sell them for $1. The cover price was $4.99. This is for ever-growing growing independent publisher Vault and one of the top ordered indies of 2023. Yeah, but it doesn't really count. Nobody really wanted it. They just ordered it because it was free. But okay. I guess you can count that. I mean, it's a strategy. Maybe you get hooked on the first one and you buy the next one, but I don't know. Seems like what you could do is maybe lower the cover price or beef up the page count and make it a value. But that's just me. That's just me being a publisher as opposed to a guy who just wants to sell a comic to maybe make a movie. But we'll see. I don't know if any of you guys heard of this comic. Sound of Freedom dominates Latin America. U.S. military, not so much. So Sound of Freedom, one of the or the guy, I don't know if you guys saw the movie. There's a guy in it, and I think it's the actual guy who finances, he's a billionaire, or he's very rich, and he helps finance the operation. He's sort of the front for the operation because he's not in law enforcement or anything. And then later, when Jim Caviezel's character is let go by the, what does he work for initially? The FBI? Or I forget what organization. He continues to finance the sting operation. That guy. He's running for president of Mexico. And apparently he's very popular, and apparently he could win. So, good luck to him, I'd say. But yeah, Sound of Freedom doing pretty well in Latin America. JC, speaking of comics, I wanted to ask if you wanted to check out my comic, Tony. I'll send you the PDF. Would you like to hear what you think the Kickstarter just went live for it? Sure. Where's your Kickstarter? What's your Kickstarter that we could search for? What's the title? Everybody's got a project. JC. JC is an artist, by the way. I've seen his stuff on the Twitter posting. So, Pissant Apocalypse, eh? All right, let's Pissant Apocalypse. See if it pops up. I see a YouTube. Okay, I won't play it because I might get flagged by YouTube. So here he is. Here he is. Everybody go to JEC's thing. Here, I'll subscribe to your channel. By Edward Clark. James Edward Clark. Doxing himself. Ardent, I've got a Redbubble shop. Ardent has a Redbubble shop. Okay, what is Ardent's shop? Everybody gets a plug tonight. Everybody gets a plug. So, let's click on the Kickstarter. Oh, the link didn't work. I don't know what happened. Anyhow, just do a search. JC, it'll be fine. Just do a search for Pissant Apocalypse. Ooh, look at the art. Ooh. Ooh. Looks cool. Ardent, just edgy merch on my shop. JC, that's just the pre-launch page. Ah. All right. So I assume you got another video here. Oh. Yeah, everybody go check out JEC's comic, Pissant Apocalypse. And Ardent, tell me where your, let's see. It's Kickstarter? Did you say Kickstarter? Yes, Kickstarter. I'm going to go to Kickstarter. Thanks. I'll send you the PDF. Thank you. All right. Search for... That's Ant. There it is. What happened? Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. Oh, you're at $4,196. Good for you. Thanks. I'll send you the PDF. Thank you. Kite. AHA heck. I wish I did anything remotely good. All I do is game. You all are so talented doing all this editing and stuff. Hey, don't sell yourself short, Kite. We need fans. And you're fan number one on this day. You have gone above and beyond handing out free memberships. JC, I'll re-upload the newer version. JC, it was my lockdown book. Oh, neat. Ardent, Redbubble Ardent Party should be simple enough. Don't check my shop on the stream. I don't do YouTube friendly. Oh, okay. JC, 56% on the way to my goal. Well, congratulations. You got 27 days to go. So this is new. Newish, right? I think it's a month, right? You get a month. New, not safe for work, post-apocalyptic graphic novel from award-winning artist James Edward Clark, Tales to Enlighten Evil Comics. Oh, looks good. Looks good. Looks crazy. Got a lot of Band-Aids on. And then, I don't know what this guy's doing. But cool. Cool. All right, so everybody check out Pissant Apocalypse and Ardent's Redbubble store. JC, yes, it launched Thursday. Well, good luck, my friend. Good luck. Yeah, it can happen. I mean, Sound of Freedom is proof of that. JC, it's super crazy. All right, so getting back into the movies. The Toronto International Film Festival, the TIFF. As I said, I don't know if I have the headline here. There's a new Nick Cage movie, comedy movie called Dream Scenario that came out at the TIFF. So look for that. Deadpool 3 was about halfway done shooting when the strike hit. So I assume we're going to get that. It's supposed to be like a buddy film with Wolverine and Deadpool. I don't know. The movie's going to be kind of messed up because they had to stop in the middle of it. And then they're not going to want to spend all the money again. And they're going to have to gear back up to shoot this thing. Hopefully they put everything in storage and it's just sitting there ready to go. And Ryan and Hugh are still in shape and they keep working out and they could just go right back to it, but probably going to screw everything up. We'll see. Yeah, they don't have it here. It was from a few days ago. So Poor Things won the Golden Lion at Venice. Not at TIFF, at Venice, I believe. And yeah, it just looks horrible. Looks horrible. Sounds worse to me. So I don't know. It's a weird movie. Like all these award shows, to me, they're just all orchestrated. They pick certain movies for certain reasons. it's like there's a lot of political intrigue behind it. It's like, why would you pick a movie like Poor Things? Why would you pick that movie of all movies? It doesn't seem like it's going to help Hollywood. It's not going to help people get back into movies. If anything, it's just going to piss people off for no good reason. So why do it? Why not pick a movie that's popular and fun that everybody liked, that everybody actually liked? It's these guys, I guess, are just so insular, so up their own a-holes. They just actually think that's good. I don't know. It just... I think part of it is, and this happened to me too, to some extent, JC, they're French, they're perverts. Part of it is like, you watch so many movies, just like anything else. If you have too much of anything, your palate becomes weird after a while. Like, after a while, you kind of just can't watch the same thing over and over. You need something different. And it goes further and further and further until you're watching weirder and weirder stuff. And I kind of get that up to a point. But when it goes so far off the rails, like, I've watched so many movies in my lifetime. And there's certain movies I just, if you showed me the trailer, I'd be like, come on, you got to give me more ammo than this to make me see this thing. And it's like, I get that. But a movie like Poor Things, I have no interest in seeing a movie like that. I really don't. It looks childish to me. It just looks like a lot of money invested in a student film. That's what it looks like to me. Maybe it's because I'm older. I don't know. Mother Couch review: Ewan McGregor in Kafkaesque family drama set in an IKEA universe where Ellen Burstyn becomes a couch potato. You see what I mean about weird? I mean, it's set in an IKEA universe. What the hell is an IKEA universe? Who the hell wants to see a movie in which people live in IKEA all the time? Mother Couch. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But okay. Now this movie, Boy Kills World review. This looked like a crazy action movie. And I reviewed it very positively. And then I got a copyright strike. Like a big strike. Not, which one is the copyright strike? I forget. The one where you lose your channel for like a week? I don't know why. I said nice things about the movie. I didn't show any of it. You know how I go through trailer reactions. I just click through them. I like the movie too. That's the ironic thing. So it's not just about, I guess, not liking the movie. It's something else. Man, when they don't like it, boom, down you go. Down goes Frasier, I guess. Sorry Not Sorry revisits Louis C.K.'s sexual misconduct scandal, which sidelined the comedian, but only for a few months. From Toronto. So I guess he didn't make this? Weird. Very weird. I now see Louis C.K. regularly on Twitter, which is kind of cool. I still like Louis C.K., although I think he's a weird guy, but I think he tries at least. Ardent, JEC, I'll shout you out in my stream on Sunday if you want. I'm sure he would appreciate that. Gavin Newsom reflects on California's COVID approach. We would have done everything differently. Oh, look, everybody. It's Boy Idiot, Governor of California, and he would have done it completely differently. Yeah, maybe he wouldn't have told everybody, wear your mask, stay in your house, shut down your business. Oh, I'm going to go to a fancy restaurant, though, with my friends. Go F yourselves. JEC, I would appreciate that, Ardent. Look at you, JEC, networking the stream. JC, what's your channel again? I believe it's Ardent Party, right? On YouTube. Can you imagine the stones on this guy to say something like this? This guy should have been recalled. And this is partly why everybody in Hollywood can go F themselves. Because they spent their money and political capital keeping him in power. On the odd chance Larry Elder might have gotten elected. So what? So what? You partisan hacks. Ardent Party, yep. Kite. Yeah, his idea differently, he wouldn't have told them, but forced it via the threat of jail. Yeah, that probably would have been his choice. Ardent is also on Rumble, says Ardent. Ugh, what? How infuriating is Gavin Newsom? Thank God he polls in the basement for president. JC, they're going to try and install Gavin as the president. I don't think there's any way he can get in unless... The only way I could see Gavin Newsom getting in is the same way Kamala Harris being vice president. Then maybe. Like, if somehow Kamala steps aside and then he took over as VP, maybe. Or maybe he could run as VP behind Kamala and there could be some honking and then, I don't know. They're going to try. I don't think they'll succeed with Gavin. Ardent, I got to go. I got a real-ish job starting tomorrow. Oh, congratulations. Good luck with that. Hope it's tolerable. Thanks for hanging out in the stream. Hope you don't have to drive in the mountains. I can't talk about Gavin Newsom anymore. He makes me angrier than Hassan Piker. JC, that's probably how they'll do it. 2020 proved the votes don't matter. It's about who counts the votes. That's what Stalin said. We'll see. There has been some de-honketing, so they may be up against too big of a landslide to actually have the guts to go through with completely honketing it. And we'll see. We'll see. I'm optimistic. All right. Just about wrapping up here. What time is it? Yeah, should probably start to wrap. Batman 2. Timothy Chalamet. Robin rumor is false. Everybody, according to Cosmic Book News. Probably for the best. I don't see him being Robin. Nah. I don't see Robin even being in the Batman universe because Robert Pattinson, Ardent, only for a few weeks, but it's money later. I don't see Robin even being in it, but maybe. I mean, if you're gonna get someone to actually be Robin in the Robert Pattinson the Batman, I would think you would have to get an actual teenager, like someone who was like, or looked like he was like about 14, like really young. But I don't see any reason to even include him if it's going to be the grounded and realistic Batman. I'm not sure how he would even explain it. JC, sent you the link to download the PDF on Instagram, Tony. Thank you, my friend. I look forward to it. Kite, well, they knew there'd be a landslide last time, and the openly did everything was saying there is no war in B.A. Sing Say. B.A. Sing anything. I don't think it was a landslide last time. I think it was closer than we think. But because what happens if you're president, your party is always on the outs during the run of the second term. It happened with Bush. He W narrowly got reelected. Like, he only won the presidency by a couple of 100,000 votes, I think. So, it was probably close. It was close enough so they could cheat. It has to be close enough so they could cheat. This time, however, Trump poll numbers, according to Sticks and Hammer, who follows all this stuff, are much better than they were in 2016 and 2020. And he is likely to win Iowa, which Trump lost last time. He had to fight for the nomination. So, in many ways, Trump is further out ahead than he ever was. And in fact, the latest polls on black and Latino voters have Trump jumping up by about 20%, and that the Democrats have lost a huge chunk of that, especially after the arrest. So they have probably effed themselves. JC, that guy would probably be a better Batman than Pattinson. He's maybe, I don't know. I like Pattinson. I thought he was fine. Like, the Batman character, other than his size, like, Pattinson isn't big enough to be Batman. Like, Alan Ritchson, 6'6" Alan Ritchson, Reacher, Jack Reacher. Oh man, imagine him as Batman. That would be friggin' crazy. But other than that, I thought he was fine, because Batman's role in the, thing is to just be there. I liked when he was wailing on guys. I thought that worked really well. I thought he was a better Batman than he was Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne, he did look too young. But I liked the Batman movie. I liked it a lot. But I wasn't going to pay that extra $1 for it. Movie theaters. Kite, when you see where some of the things came from, all the chicanerous actions taken sus, they'll do it again. Oh, they absolutely will try. But my hope is they won't succeed this time, because some people will be ready for them. Like, in the case of Wisconsin, the GOP probably has already lost it because they lost control of Wisconsin. But in the case of most of the other states, they're going to be ready for him, I think. Hopefully. It's going to be... You can't overturn an election where Trump wins by, say, 10 points in every state. Like, you cannot overturn that. The rioting would destroy the country. Now, you could argue, well, maybe that's the point. Yeah, but they can't. They just can't. It would overthrow the country. People who, even support Biden wouldn't stand for it. You can only go so far. Even a dictator has to rule with permission to a certain extent. If enough people stand up to a dictator, he can't rule them. He just can't. So if they were to do a honkening of the election when Trump won by such a huge margin, not even the people would just turn right around and go, no, get out of the White House. Even people who, like, were loyal to the regime would be like, oh, I'm not supporting this. So that's the kind of victory Trump needs. He needs one that's so crazy. Like, they got to lose states that they should have won. They got to lose, like, New Jersey. They got to lose, like, New York. Stuff like that. They're not going to lose California, but they could lose a lot of states that shouldn't even have been in play. They're going to lose Virginia. They're going to lose Florida, of course, Ohio. They're going to lose a lot of states because people are just pissed. It's all about the economy. And the economy wasn't in a mess. Biden's people, I should say, not Biden, they're so stupid. All they would have had to have done is just maintain Trump's policies and just pretend like they changed them. And just said, like, well, we've passed. We're not going to revoke the Keystone Pipeline, but we're going to pass the Pipeline Initiative Strategy, and that is going to oversee the pipelines. So they'll be, eco-friendly, and there'll be solar panels on them or some BS like that, right? If they had done that and just kept the pipeline and kept all the tariffs and kept everything in place, the economy would be booming. Gas would still be $1.73, and nobody would care. Everybody would be like, well, Biden seems to be doing fine. Now people are pissed. Everybody who voted for Biden's like, oh my God, I'm getting creamed here. Both guys, JC, both guys got a record amounts of votes. Trump got 75 million, Biden got 80 million. Honk, honk, yeah. Kite. Ba Sing Se, it's a reference to Avatar, The Last Airbender, when people from the Earth tribes are forced to believe there's no war in their home city. Oh, interesting. Kite, because if they don't, the invading Fire Nation kill them. They are enslaved and there's resistance, hence the war. Interesting. JC, isn't what they want? Yes and no. If they can't control it and they can't make any money, and they are actually feel like they're in danger, yeah, they don't want that. Their own people turn on them. If they can't get security guys to protect them, like literally their own security might turn around and go, get out of the car. Like when you reach that point, you can't pay people enough because they don't want to go down with you. Kite, but wouldn't it be Trump supporters rioting? They love their country and the left knows that's why they riot, and they say there will be riots so much. The right's riot is a few people doing bad things and the rest walking into a building calmly. Well, but you see how scared they were of that, right? Their overreaction to it is dooming them in a lot of respects. And that wasn't even a real riot. That was barely anything as compared to what happened on the left. And people on the right have actual weapons. I don't think it's going to come to that. I think what's going to happen, I think Trump's going to win by such a high margin. They're going to be forced to do something very drastic. They may try to start a war, or they may just try to hobble Trump, so let him win and say, well, we can't stop him. He's going to win. We'll just make sure he has no Congress that will listen to him and will impeach him again. They may just do that. That would probably be the smart move. They're probably going to win back Congress. Both houses of Congress will probably be controlled by the Democrats, in which case they'll just impeach Trump. And then they'll impeach the vice president, and then they'll install whoever. So it might be that. But that wouldn't bode well either. If you don't have a legitimate government, again, dictators do need a certain amount of permission to govern. If they don't have it, no one will listen to them. And when you get to the point that no one in the country is listening to you, the entire economy starts to go underground. Everything starts to go underground. And then you can't control anything and you start losing control. So yeah, you could say, okay, now we control the internet and we control media and this and that, but nobody will watch the media. Then you have to force people to watch the media, and then they don't like that, and so they make even more media underground. It's a vicious cycle that they know they can't start, because once they start it, it'll be very hard to unstart it. JC, their job was to dismantle the country in the first place. Possibly. Or possibly they're looking to just push the boundaries up until a point. Or possibly they don't really have a plan. Kite, that pipeline ending has effed the whole world for 4 years. It certainly has. JC, they'll probably impeach Biden to lay the groundwork for impeaching Trump. Well, they already impeached Trump a bunch of times. They got to impeach Biden because he's so embarrassing now. He's embarrassing everybody at the G20. He couldn't even get through his sentence. I know, we're off on a tangent for politics. Kite, that's why Ron DeSantis is believed to be a plant, has a deal with the Dems to not be like Trump. There's no way he believes he would have had a chance. Yeah, he blew it. Or he cut a deal, maybe. I don't know. He still seems fairly based, at least in Florida. But I think he's ruined himself. The guy to really watch for 2028 is Glenn Youngkin. Because I don't know if he's the real deal. He's done some good things. To some extent, these people are independent operators. You have to remember that. Like, yeah, it does seem like a cabal. But what happens is things happen, and then not the cabal, but the regime, the cathedral, as it's called on the Lotus Eater sometimes, reacts. And then they alter their plans according to how they see they can best benefit. And that feels like a cabal at times, but it's really not that organized in my view. JC, the real plant is the Indian guy. Vivek? Yeah, it sounded more and more like that. But the thing is, the more he red pills people and says he's going to do that, and then if he doesn't deliver, well, that's a problem too, because now you got all these red pillers saying, hey, you told me you were going to do all this cool stuff, and I want it. JC, the Indian guy was part of the WEF Young Leaders Program. That is true. The problem with that is the WEF sometimes lists people regardless of whether they say they are part of the WEF or not. So like Tulsi Gabbard's on the site, but she was never actually a part of the WEF. She was like, I don't know, at one of their meetings or something. So like the WEF can call anybody a young leader that shows up at one of their things, but I don't know. Maybe he may be a very sophisticated plant. It's sounding more and more like that, but we'll see. We'll see. The guy I would trust in terms of that judgment is Trump, because he usually has the inside track on these guys. So if he picks a guy like Vivek, then I'll be like, oh, maybe Vivek isn't in the WEF because Trump picked him. Now you might say, well, he picked Pence. Yeah, but he had to pick Pence because he did that on purpose to give a peace offering to the neocons. Didn't work out, but that's basically what he did. If he picks Vivek, it'll be because he knows he's not a plant. I don't think he's going to pick him anyway. It sounds like he's going to pick Kristi Noem, or he's setting up Kristi Noem to be the potential pick, and then he's going to pick somebody else. I'm not sure. I think Kristi Noem will probably be the best pick right now, but who knows? Kite. All Ron DeSantis had to do was sit pretty and wait until after Trump in 2024. The country starts getting better again under Trump. Then all he had to do was market. That's true. We just got the country on track. Want to go back to the Dem years. Boom, instant vote. Totally agree. Unfortunately, he didn't do that. But fortunately, the GOP now has lots of talent. You got Matt Gaetz, you got Carrie Lake, you got Lauren Boebert, even MTG probably would be a halfway decent based president. Some of these people got a little wonky with the abortion stuff, and they're going to fight over each other. You got Glenn Youngkin, you got a few others. The Dems have no one. Everybody hates the Dems with good reason. Their poll numbers are in the toilet. The only reason Biden is up is because Democrats feel they have to support him. That's the only way. That's the only reason his poll numbers are even where they're at. Plus, they're probably gaming the poll numbers too on his behalf. So, who are you going to support? If you're a Dem partisan, who do you support? Eventually, you get off the Biden train. Eventually, after he screws you so badly you can't stand it anymore. But once you get to that point, then you jump off of being a Democrat at that point. So that's a very risky plan, and it's not doing well for the Democrats. A lot of people are pissed. But there are some people who just say, I'll vote for anybody that runs as a Dem, or I can't vote for a Republican ever. But that means a lot of them will be demoralized and won't even go vote. If they can't bring themselves to vote for Biden again, and they can't bring themselves to vote for a Republican, even if one that would help them, they'll just say, screw it. I'm going to vote for no one. or I'll write in Cornel West, or I'll write in RFK Jr. That's another factor. RFK Jr., holy crap. You got a lot of Dems who want to vote for him. He ain't going to get the nomination. And they're going to say, oh, they screwed him. Now, a lot of Bernie supporters, they eventually went back to Hillary, but a bunch of them didn't. So you're going to have people who are mad and write in RFK Jr. You're going to have people who are mad and write in Cornel West. And you're going to have people who just are so demoralized, they say, screw it, I'm not voting at all. And then you're going to have some that go, screw it, I'm a Republican now. I'll vote for a Republican all day long. So, yeah, I mean, the cheating's going to have to be pretty damn sheer. And if it's so obvious that even the people that are, you know, there are people who are liberal Democrats, they really believe Republicans are just too horrible to vote for, but they also believe in the Constitution of the United States. If even they see this, that's really losing people. You'll turn the whole country against the Democrats and the government. They'll never win another state election ever again. And I think, really, the Democrats might be in trouble in a lot of states just because they're Democrats. At this point, the Democratic Party, and I'm really going on a tangent here, but okay, the Democratic Party has hurt their brand so much. You know, 20 years ago, if it said, oh, you're going to vote for a Democrat, I'd been like, sure, maybe. Now it's like, vote for a Democrat. I wouldn't vote for a Democrat if you paid me. And I'm broke. Kite. Problem is, the establishment people on the right will vote across the aisle just to not vote Trump. The opposite doesn't happen. I think you're wrong on that. Look, the not Trumpers on the right, they didn't vote for Trump last time. Most of them didn't. They're neocons. They'll always vote establishment. The Bill Kristols of the world will just jump parties, as he did, and vote for Hillary. But most people are not like that. Most people have to buy gas. They have to buy groceries, and they're getting killed. And they're like, F these people. I don't care anymore. I can't feed my family. My life sucks. F these people. Someone has to pay. Trump. That's what it's going to be in 2024. In my view. Okay. Was anything else here? New York Comic Con reveals its first programming. Megan Fox is going to do a voice in Mortal Kombat, if anybody cares. Oh, Liev Schreiber is rumored on Sabretooth for the Deadpool 3 movie, which could be fun. Marvel changed the name of Agatha Harkness movie to Agatha Harkness and the Darkhold Diaries or something like that. Terrible. All terrible, in my view. Thank you, Cosmic Book News. I think that's about it. Disney releasing genuinely insane Blu-ray box featuring 100 animated films this fall. Well, that might be something to buy. And then you could never watch Disney again. I mean, holy crap. Disney 100 logo limited edition collection will be available on November 4th. Pre-orders begin on Walmart September 18th and it has a retail price of $1,500. Features Disney Animation Studios features, along with beloved Pixar favorites, a smattering of films, direct-to-video sequels, earlier masterworks. Includes Tinkerbell, Return to Neverland, The Jungle Book 2, and both Planes and its sequels. Disney animated features, The Nightmare Before Christmas, James and the Giant Peach, Frankenweenie, Soul, Luca, Turning Red, Raya and the Last Dragon, Strange World, who needs that? Oh my god, they got an entire list here. $15 a movie. Snow White, here's the list. Snow White, Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, Bambi, Saludos Amigos, The Three Caballeros, Make Mine Music, Fun and Fancy Free, Melody Time, The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad, Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, Sleeping Beauty, 101 Dalmatians, Sword in the Stone, Jungle Book, The Aristocrats. I love The Aristocrats. I hope it's not edited. If it's edited, go F yourself. The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, The Rescuers. That's a good one, too. The Fox and the Hound, The Black Cauldron, The Mouse Detective, The Great Mouse Detective. I remember that one. Oliver and Company, The Little Mermaid, Rescuers Down Under, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas, Lion King, Goofy Movie, Pocahontas, Toy Story, James and the Giant Peach, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Hercules, Mulan, A Bug's Life, Tarzan, Toy Story 2, Fantasia 2000, Tigger Movie, Dinosaur, Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis the Lost Empires, Monster Inc., Return to Neverland, Lilo and Stitch, Treasure Planet, Jungle Book 2. Man, everything's here. Incredibles. The Rescuers Down Under was better than the first one. I don't know. $1,500. Because you have the hard copies. I mean, that's 3,000 hours worth of stuff. JC, The Great Mouse Detective was a good one. I think I saw that one. Some good stuff in here. Oh, look, you get a little crystal mouse hat, too. I mean, maybe this is the last hurrah for Disney. And maybe it'll be, 5 years from now, you'll be able to get it all for like $50. Somebody will torrent this stuff, right? You get it all for $50 somewhere. Kite, still not worth LOL. Oh, wow. Weird. That's so weird they're doing that. Huh. I can't understand why they're putting out such high-end stuff. Like, I didn't understand the $1 billion hotel. That seemed like such a dumb move. The $1 billion hotel. For, And then you had to pay, like, I don't know, $3,000 a night or some outrageous price to stay there. Even though they're actors there. Who cares? JC, I had the VHS as a kid for The Great Mouse Detective. I watched it a lot. It was one of the better 80s Disney cartoons. Yeah, those are the cartoons they ought to be playing on Disney Plus. Like, if they played those on Disney Plus, I think people would enjoy it. If you had that in your library that you could watch it whenever you wanted, that'd be a reason to pay for Disney Plus, especially at $2.99. But I don't know. Anyhow, I think I got to wrap because it's been 2 hours, and Joan's been very quiet. So final thoughts. What did we learn today? Well, we learned everybody's got, a lot of people have projects. Kite is very generous. We learned not much about Disney. I thought there'd be more about Disney. There was stuff, I can't remember it now. It just, their stock hit like a really low price. That was another thing. JC, I think people don't remember The Great Mouse Detective because it was right before The Little Mermaid. It's more like a Don Bluth movie. Yeah. Yeah, and plus, I mean, it has been a long time. I got a free comic from JEC, so I'm looking forward to that. What else? Ardent had a harrowing experience driving and now has a job. Hopefully not driving in the mountains. What else? I guess that's about it. Oh, and the box office was crazy. Box office was nuts. And how much longer before we have no new movies to talk about? Gonna have to talk more about politics, I guess. That'll get my channel crushed. Kite, suspicious Joan. Yes. God knows what she's been up to all this time. Hopefully just sleeping. Yeah, she's not in the room at all. Hopefully, we did go walkies ahead of time, so shouldn't be a surprise for me, if you know what I'm saying. Kite, I do want to see Stray to be TBF, LOL. Yeah, Strays looks fun. I would see that on a rental, absolutely. I would have seen it in the theaters if I had any money to blow, but I'm just so tight these days. I can't even afford to go to the damn movies. But I mean, I got HBO and Netflix for free, so or Max. I got another one for free, but I never hooked it up, and now I forget which one it is. I think it's Paramount, I want to say. Yeah, that's how much I give a crap about these streaming services. I just don't have the time to watch them. I'm just so busy, and just trying to survive these days. And that's the other thing, swerving back into politics for a moment. Like, I think people are just surviving at this point. And, when people get down to the nitty gritty, they don't give an F, okay? When it's about their money or their survival, man, people suddenly get focused really fast. So, if you want to see the prices go to half in this country, I say it'd be a good idea to re-elect Trump and watch the prices go and watch jobs appear like magic and everybody make money again. That sounds like a good deal for me, for everyone, the whole country. Yeah, I think people are on board with that. I think a lot of people are. I think the only people aren't on board with that are people who are so insulated from that. They haven't suffered. They still consider, and that's a few amount of people, because I know people in the upper, they're not rich, but they're in the upper echelons of the middle class. They are doing fine. I mean, they're not starving, but they ain't happy. They have noticed things cost an outrageous sum. So, and those are the kind of people who are going to vote quietly, and they'll vote for Trump, but they won't tell you, oh, I voted for Biden. What happened? Oh, no. Kite, well, thanks for the stream again, Tony. And now I have some time. I can get to the other members' video. Y'all should get a membership for this man. Thank you, Kite. The video last week was very insightful into the Pineys characters and building them. Oh, you're too nice, my friend. You're too nice. All right. I'm going to go make some more videos because I got 2 more to do. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. But thanks for tuning in. This week, I got a lot of stuff going on. If you're in the South Jersey area, I will be at the Golden Nugget Tavern in Berlin, New Jersey on Wednesday for Wing Night. I'll be doing my talk on how to hunt the Jersey Devil and eating free wings. JC, night, Tony. Hope you like my comic. I hope so, too. I'm sure I will. It looks cool. I like post-apocalyptic stuff, too. JC, it's pretty nuts. Cool. On Friday, I'll be at the comic book store. That's in Glassboro, New Jersey, right on the Rowan campus, or right off of it. I usually do pretty good there. On the 16th, Saturday, I'm doing the Pirate Festival, which I've never done before. I believe it's in Marcus Hook, PA, if it's the one I'm thinking of. And so I'm going to be selling a lot of copies of book number 6 of the Pineys. And then on Sunday, I'll be at the Elk Lodge in Toms River for the Jersey Shore Comic Show. So it's going to be a big weekend and week for me. Hopefully I make some money. I'm like eating things that I found in the freezer of my fridge now. Kite, guess I need to have a visit to New Jersey in my lifetime to see Tony D live. You can. Because I ain't going anywhere. If you come, come to South Jersey. Don't go to North Jersey. That's not the good Jersey. They eat Taylor ham up there. It's gross. You gotta eat pork roll. Pork roll. It's called pork roll. They call it Taylor ham because they're misguided. But South Jersey is where it's at. And it's starting to get cooler now. The fall's coming in. Tonight finally cooled off. We actually just came off a heat wave. Kite, horror tour, road trip. Yup, LOL. Yeah, you could go see Leeds Point. There's nothing much to see up there. You can see the old church. That's kind of creepy. And then Smithville, a little touristy area where they got all the Jersey Devil trinkets and whatnot. But a lot of people come to see the Jersey Devil, and there's nothing to see unless you go to you can go to Lucille's Luncheonette when they get their new Jersey. They had a Jersey Devil statue and someone stole it. I think I talked about this. A guy showed up with chains and tied it to the wooden statue and broke it off and then threw it in his truck and tried to drive it back to Ohio, and he got caught. Clint Miller, I've met Tony D in person. Great guy. Thank you, Clint Miller. Yeah, or you know, the Pines is just a creepy place to be. That's always scary. Lots of crazy stuff going on in the Pines. And yeah. So thank you all for tuning in and your wonderful comments. I'm getting so many nice comments this week, I have to say. Between Shamung Diner and you guys, I have to stay humble. I have to stay humble. So I'm going to go humble myself by checking on my fridge and how empty it is. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you in the next stream, Saturday. Clint Miller at AC HorrorCon. Yes, I love AC HorrorCon. I want to do it again, but it's a little pricey. A little pricey for me. For me. It's not a bad price. I made my money back, but it's tough to sell that many books. Tough to sell. I have to sell like 60 books just to break even at a show like that. That's a lot of books for me to sell, even on a weekend. My record is 72. I sold 72 at one show. And that was a fantastic show. Oh, baby, was that a good show. Kite, LOL, have a great night. You too. Everybody have a great night. Have a great week. Thank you, my friends. We'll see you on the next one.